The story kicks off with a look at the Astri family. They're this super prestigious and powerful magical family, the kind of people who can supposedly make birds fall out of the sky and even tell the emperor what to do. But inside the grand Astri mansion, rumor is spreading. Two maids are gossiping about the first young master, who apparently failed to awaken his powers yet again, and how the young master has gone crazy. It all started about a month ago. The first young master, who'd been laid up in bed after that third mana shock, suddenly woke up, and when he did, he was just muttering a bunch of nonsense. Then, completely out of the blue, he just bolts from the mansion, running barefoot into a storm. He didn't stop until he got to the backyard, where he fell to his knees and just started clawing at the dirt with his bare hands. He dug and dug like a madman until his hands were totally raw. And what did he finally unearth after all that? A single, solitary weed, which he held up with the most unhinged look on his face. Still, that's not the issue here. The problem is that ever since that one rainy night for an entire month straight, our guy has been doing nothing but happily pulling weeds, and every time he does, a little game notification pops up. He gets one for blue basil, then another and another. Wiping his hands clean, he thinks to himself, another productive day, but he can feel someone watching him again today. The surveillance is constant. He sighs that being the eldest grandson of this prestigious family is exhausting, and here he is, our main character, Lion Astri. Well, sort of. Turns out he used to be a Korean office worker named Baek Yi-hun. He got so fed up with his power-tripping boss that he finally snapped and decked him, quitting on the spot. With nothing but time on his hands, he decided to log into an old MMORPG he used to grind like crazy, a game called In the World. Only, when he logged in, he found all his painstakingly leveled characters had been completely deleted. He wasn't too broken up about it. He'd already seen all the endgame content. So he just made a new character, bought a crafting package, and got a lucky roll with a bunch of great skills. He decided he'd play a pacifist build this time. No more fighting for his life, even in a game. Just some nice, relaxing crafting. And that was the very last thing he remembered as Baek Yi-hun. When he came to, he'd been isekai'd into the game as Lion Astri. He's in the game world, but it's 50 years after the main story ended. Thankfully, he has the original Lion's memories, so he's not totally flying blind. And his crafting skills came with him. A system window pops up, identifying the herb he just picked as aqua rosemary. He gets a full description card for it. Apparently it smells like the ocean and tastes like seawater if you eat it raw. Good to know. Picking it also unlocks the Novice Herbalist achievement, which nets him a cool 1,000 shillings. A notification then tells him that a special shilling shop will unlock once he's saved up enough. He's feeling pretty good about this. If he can just keep grinding, he thinks he might be able to earn enough to escape this family sooner than he planned. He's just so thankful that the pop-up windows still work and his skills are fully functional. He gets back to the grind, collecting more herbs. Then he pauses, remembering what the maid said. This body's original owner, Lion, had failed to awaken his mana 3 times, and the Astri family is all about merit. They're ruthless. A talentless heir would be kicked to the curb in a heartbeat. To survive on his own, he's going to need a lot of money, so he's trying to figure out a plan. How can he save up and get out of here safely? Then a truly brilliant idea strikes him. Maybe he can just bribe the patriarch? As he's mulling that over, he spots a blue shimmer coming from a nearby bush. He recognizes that effect. A blue effect means a rare item. It must be a big one. He lunges for it. He carefully digs around the glowing plant and pulls it from the ground. Got it. It's a red sun fern, a 3-star item that's supposed to help clear your mind of distracting thoughts. Could be useful. And finding a 3-star item gets him a brand new achievement. He is absolutely over the moon. A 3-star achievement. This is huge. He's so happy he's literally sparkling, just pure, unadulterated joy. But his little celebration is cut short when a voice calls out, "Young Master." He turns to see the old woman from before, Sylvia. The game interface helpfully tells him her level is just a bunch of question marks, which is never a good sign. She observes that he seems very absorbed in pulling weeds lately. He plays it cool, just saying he has his reasons. Then he holds up the glowing fern, asking if she can see it. From her perspective, it's just a normal, albeit high-quality, fern. He pushes it closer, getting frantic. It's glowing, don't you see it? He needs to know if she can see it. She just gives him this pitying look, saying she supposes the servants were right about him. She confirms that no, she does not see a glow. He's stunned. So it's true. He's the only one who can see the magical properties of these plants. With that little experiment over, Sylvia tells him it's time to go. The patriarch is looking for him. Lion's blood runs cold. His grandfather is looking for him. The patriarch is a monster, a strict meritocrat who runs his family like a jungle where only the strong survive. This man, Patrick Astri, is the living embodiment of winner take all, and he's the #1 person Lion needs to suck up to if he wants to buy enough time to plan his escape. He'd been banking on the patriarch ignoring him for being a talentless failure, but he's already being summoned. And the worst part? He hasn't had time to prepare a decent bribe yet. Thinking fast, he asks Sylvia, who he calls Granny, to please tell his grandfather that he'll see him later. And, he adds with a sly little smile, he has a favor to ask her. Meanwhile, in the Patriarch's office, an aide reports that Lion still hasn't come to his senses. The Patriarch, Patrick, angrily sets the report on fire with his magic. He's told that since waking up, his grandson has done nothing but pick weeds. And other than that, the aide says Lion still can't feel any mana, but his health and memory are fine. Patrick just scoffs, clearly disgusted with his useless grandson. He dismisses the aide, telling him to leave them. Once the door is closed, Patrick calls out for Sylvia, and she materializes from the shadows. He gets right to it, demanding to know what on earth that boy is doing right now. She answers bluntly. He is pulling weeds. She adds that his weeding activities have recently expanded into the forest. This is clearly not the answer Patrick was looking for. He snaps that that's not what he's asking about. Sylvia then relays Lion's message. He asked her to convey that he will come to see you later. Later? The word echoes in the silent room as Patrick's face contorts with rage. He slams his fist on the desk, shaking with fury. How dare he? Absolutely not, he bellows, his body erupting in flames. Tell him that if he doesn't come immediately, I'll level the entire forest. And Sylvia, with the most deadpan chibi face imaginable, just says, Yes, I will deliver your message. Then she melts back into the shadows, leaving the Patriarch to stew in his own anger. He grumbles to himself about his ill-mannered brat. He just can't understand it. He pulls out a crystal ball, muttering that the boy should have come running to him first thing. But instead, the ball shows Lion, happily pulling weeds without a care in the world. And for some reason, the old man is blushing. That favor Lion asked of Sylvia? Well, it was a request for a full-blown alchemy lab. And apparently, when the grandson of the most powerful family in the Empire wants to mess around a bit, they break out the good stuff. Lion is absolutely floored. This is not just a starter kit. He is looking at a room full of high-grade artifacts. Each piece of equipment is basically the price of a house. This, he thinks, is the silver spoon life. But he's not just here to gawk. He's got a plan, and if his hunch is right, this is the first step. He checks his skill window. His gathering skill is leveling up nicely, but now it is time to grind potion crafting. Just like in the game, crafting skills have proficiency tiers. You start as an apprentice, then move up to expert, artisan, and finally master, a level only the top 1% ever reach. And the higher your proficiency, the better your results. So, Lion has got some work to do. His brilliant plan? Start light. Just brew 100 potions and chug them. Simple. So he gets right to it, throwing the red sun fern he found earlier into a cauldron. With a single command to extract, the process begins. The fern dissolves into a brilliant red liquid, and thanks to the high-end gear, it automatically bottles itself. Very convenient. A system notification pops up. He has successfully crafted a minor health potion. It does exactly what it says on the tin, slightly restoring health. Nothing special. But Lion is ecstatic. See, it really is all about the gear. He chugs the first one down. A pop-up confirms his health has been restored, and another one shows his progress on the Novice Alchemist achievement. Just one down, 99 to go. He knew it. This is how you grind. With a completely unhinged look on his face, he thinks, Grandfather, just you wait. The grind set is real. And so begins the most hardcore potion-chugging montage of all time. System notifications fly across the screen as he crafts and drinks. After plowing through dozens of potions, he's starting to feel it. He's completely burned out. Slumped in a chair, surrounded by empty bottles, he cannot even think about drinking another one. The problem is, his health is already at 100%. Forcing down more recovery potions at this point is just pure, self-inflicted torture. But he is so close. He grabs the last bottle, telling himself to just push through this one last sip. He tips it back, face contorting. It is a real struggle, but he gets it down. And finally, the reward. The Novice Alchemist achievement is unlocked, netting him another 1,000 shillings. Even better, his alchemy proficiency has jumped all the way to Apprentice level 4. And just as he is celebrating his hard-earned level up, another notification appears. A new recipe has been unlocked. He checks the details immediately. This is perfect. With his energy totally renewed, he gets ready for round 2. He had been thinking about it the whole time he was out gathering herbs. What would make a good bribe for his terrifying, all-powerful grandfather? A mana potion is pointless, the old man is overflowing with it, and a health potion is just as useless, since he has a personal team of medical mages. So, what about something different? A potion that cures mental fatigue. Patrick Astry is a man drowning in work. As an archmage, he can use mana to wipe away physical exhaustion, no problem. But mental fatigue? That is a whole different ballgame, even for the most powerful man in the family. Lion gets to work, a determined look on his face. This is it. He brews the new recipe, and the resulting liquid is a beautiful, shimmering blue. It even has a crisp, refreshing scent. He's got a good feeling about this one. In the game, this mental fatigue potion was basically vendor trash, something you would sell for a few coins. But now that he's in a real world with real stakes, he is using the best gear money can buy. It feels completely different. He moves to a more complex piece of equipment, a distillation apparatus. He places his hand on it and shouts, "Extract." A massive wave of blue, sparkling energy erupts from the machine, swirling around him like a tidal wave. The potent energy then flows, condensing perfectly into a single, small bottle. A new notification appears. Potion crafting specialization has been activated. And there it is, the mental fatigue recovery potion. It works by evoking the consumer's happiest memories. With one small catch, it has no effect on those who possess no happy memories. He cannot believe it. A 2-star potion. You usually do not see results like this until you are a much higher level. This is jackpot, the perfect bribe. He holds the finished product. The potion looks like a miniature galaxy in a bottle, and just the scent alone is enough to clear his head. And then comes the big one. A system window declares that he has crafted a potion that should be impossible at his current level. Blue mana explodes around him. The potential to form a mana circle has been unlocked, and his mana allocation talent has been activated. This means he can now regulate mana with far greater precision than other mages. For a guy who could not feel a drop of mana before, this is a monumental level up. He looks at his hands, feeling the power for the first time. This is mana. He completely loses it, laughing and dancing around like a madman. He did it. After being a talentless nobody, the power is finally his. Unfortunately, his private celebration is being observed. Someone is standing right outside his door watching his maniacal laugh. He then turns, leaving without a word. Back in the lab, Lion is kicking back, looking smug. This body could not handle a drop of mana before, and now he has got power and a way to make bank. At this rate, he thinks, his escape plan is going to be a breeze. He leans back, soaking in the victory. And then, a sudden realization hits him. Wait a minute, he is forgetting something. Ah, grandfather, the man he was supposed to meet, like, hours ago, who is, at this very moment, still waiting in his office, literally on fire with rage and demanding to know when on earth his grandson is going to show up. He is staring out a window, wondering why Lion is working so hard. He starts having a full-on anime protagonist flashback, reminding himself of who he is. This guy was a core member of the hero party. Not only that, he's the head of the Astri family, powerful enough to just go found his own country if he felt like it. You know, a casual Tuesday. With all that power, he thinks he could easily set Lion up for a comfortable life. He just has no idea what his grandson is trying to accomplish with that frail body of his, since the family isn't exactly short on money or power. But then Sylvia brings up something she saw. She tells him that while Lion was making that potion, he looked truly happy. This just makes the old man more stressed. What good is happiness when death is waiting, he wonders. And then we get the bombshell. It was Lion's third mana shock. Sylvia says that surviving even one is incredibly difficult. They've basically given up hope that the kid will survive. Just then, a servant comes running down the hall. He tells a chipper-looking Lion that the patriarch has been waiting a while. Lion just smiles and says he expected as much. He leads Lion into the office, announcing the arrival of first young master, and Lion walks in with a little bead of sweat but a confident smile. He strolls into the massive office and apologizes for being so late. Grandfather does not look amused. He notes that it's been a while since Lion left his bed and asks why he's only coming to see him now. Lion takes a deep breath, ready to deliver the performance of a lifetime. He says that after the recent mana shock, he had a lot to think about. He launches into this whole speech about how everyone knows he doesn't have a shred of talent for magic. Sylvia looks shocked to hear him say it so bluntly. He tells Sylvia it's all right, he knows it's the truth. He explains that for the longest time, he just couldn't accept that his body can't handle mana, or rather, he refused to, because the moment he accepted that truth, he felt like he no longer had a place in the Astri family. But, he says, things are different now. He pulls out the galaxy in a bottle he brewed earlier. He says this potion is the result of him finally accepting who he is, and studying so he wouldn't disgrace the family name. And then for the finishing touch, he adds, and there's one more thing. I thought you might be feeling very worn out lately, grandfather. The perfect bribe. The old man is just staring at him, asking what this is. But you can tell he's thinking something else. His internal monologue is going wild. Something is different. It's not his expression or posture. No, something much more fundamental has changed about his grandson. He looks down at the potion on his desk, and it hits him. So he was making this, all this time, for me. The thought is so admirable, it makes the legendary archmage blush. This kid. But his pride immediately kicks in. He snaps back to his usual grumpy self, thinking it's been a long time since he became a transcended being. His body is immune to even the deadliest poisons, so a little potion like this couldn't possibly affect him. Meanwhile, Lion is just beaming, looking like the perfect grandson. Lion lays it on thick, saying he worked really hard on it while thinking of you, grandfather, and the old man is just melting inside. The words thinking of you echo in his head as he tries to keep a straight face. Grandfather finally gets it together and asks if he's finished saying what he came to say. Lion says yes and is promptly dismissed. He gives a little bow and heads out. And with that, the audience is over. As soon as Lion's gone, Sylvia chimes in. You say that, but you look quite pleased. The old man is caught, looking all flustered with a little sparkle. Pleased? Don't be ridiculous, he sputters, trying to play it cool. But we all see it. He picks up the potion, still looking at it. The liquid inside feels strangely familiar. Sylvia points out that it doesn't smell like a normal mana potion. She gets this seriously demonic look in her eyes and suggests using that to analyze it, just to be safe. But Patrick shuts her down. No, it's fine, he says. He wants to fully appreciate his grandson's sincerity. Sylvia seems to understand completely. With a slight smile, she says she'll take her leave for a moment and then teleports away in a cloud of shadow. Now alone, Patrick looks at the gift. He thinks to himself, just how long has it been since Lion gave me a gift? Looking at it again, the craftsmanship is remarkable. He admits that you couldn't put something like this together overnight, even with the best gear. He figures it probably won't do much for him, but he can't let his grandson's gift go to waste, so he decides to give it a try, bottoms up. The effect is immediate. A strange, peaceful energy washes over him. His mind is becoming calm and at ease. Fragmented memories from the past drift through his mind. He sees glimpses of a life he hasn't thought about in a long, long time. And before long, he falls into a deep sleep. It was just a brief nap, but the dream he had was unbelievably peaceful and sweet. He wakes up, a bit disoriented. He thinks, to think I actually fell asleep. But instead of feeling groggy or sad, he feels great. He looks at the now empty bottle. There's only a single drop left. Fascinating, he thinks. My mind is completely clear. That headache I thought would never fade is gone. A whole new wave of determination washes over him. He always does whatever he wants. Yeah, I can't just lock him away because his body is weak. He looks out at the bright sky. If it's something like mana shock, I just need to find a way to stop it. Let's live a long, long life together with your grandpa Lion. And at that exact moment, somewhere else in the mansion, Lion is walking along when he suddenly starts tearing up. What is this? Why are my eyes suddenly filling with tears? He has no idea. Meanwhile, the estate's rumor mill is in full swing. One of the servants is telling a group of maids some shocking news. What? She asks. Lion Astri is going to die soon? The other one nods, saying she even heard he gave the patriarch a farewell gift. Another servant connects the dots. So the reason he's been pulling weeds every day, what else? He was probably looking for his own burial place, and he just starts cackling. His laughter is cut short with the arrival of a furious red-haired maid who puts the water bucket hard on the ground. Whoa, you scared me, he yells. But the maids are already trying to drag him away, making up excuses about laundry. The servant asks if she's okay. She is not. She yells that another servant assigned to young Master Lion is quitting. The servant is shocked. What? Again? Hannah is fuming. She says those cowards used to brag about how easy they had it because the young master barely needed looking after. But now that these baseless rumors are spreading, they're just running away without a word, she goes on, ranting about their lack of loyalty. After all the kindness the young master showed them, they turn their backs over some ridiculous rumor. What a bunch of ungrateful bastards. Her friend is frantically trying to shut her up, pointing behind her. But it's too late. A cold voice says her name. Hannah. She turns around, terrified to see the head maid, Sylvia, standing right there. Sylvia has this very calm, very scary smile on her face. She says, if you don't mind, I would also like to know the full story behind this rumor. After some time, Sylvia returns back to the patriarch's office. She apologizes for being late, but he waves it off. He asks if there was something urgent. She says it was nothing much, just taking care of some family matters. She then asks Patrick why she called for him at such an early hour. Patrick points at the now empty potion bottle. He wants her to use her witch's eye to take a look at it. A massive, intricate magic circle flares to life, enveloping the small bottle. The analysis completes, and Sylvia's eye flashes with a pink light. She's completely stunned. This is not something the young master could have made, she says. And with a look that could freeze hell, she asks him, isn't this the hero's potion? Which, brings up a few questions. The hero was the legend who ended the war with the demon race 50 years ago and then vanished without a trace. This guy was so powerful that no labyrinth could contain him. Even the gods themselves were hesitant to get in his way. Sylvia's thoughts are racing. She thinks that she might be the only person who can find the hidden contract in the mansion's labyrinth and be the one to set that person free. Her hands are practically shaking. She concludes that this potion is something that couldn't be obtained by anyone except the hero himself. But she quickly composes herself. She tells Patrick she cannot jump to conclusions just yet. After all, if it were the real hero's potion, it would have had a much stronger effect. Besides, she thinks, looking at the leftover drops in the bottle, there's just no way Lion is the hero. Our boy is a lot of things, but a legendary war hero isn't one of them. Patrick doesn't seem too bothered by the hero talk. He just says that, in any case, he intends to request a better potion from that child. Sylvia is surprised and asks who it's for. It's for his sister, who's been living in a state of lethargy for hundreds of years. His logic is, if the potion worked on him, an 8th Circle Archmage, then it might just do something for her. This makes Sylvia crack a tiny, unsettling smile, and then she just starts laughing out loud. Patrick is thoroughly confused. Sylvia asks him if he knows what the most useless thing in the world is. It's worrying about a witch. She explains that witches have 1,000-year lifespans, bodies that never get sick, and immense magical power. So he doesn't need to burden his adorable grandchild by worrying about her. Okay, so Sylvia, the head maid, is Patrick's sister. She gets a little flustered but quickly recovers, saying she will gratefully accept the heart that thought of me. Then she just teleports away. The old man is left alone, sweating a little bit and muttering her name. A little later, Lion is back in the office. He notes that the patriarch has a look on his face that suggests he's worried about something. Patrick immediately denies it, saying nonsense. So we get this cute little interrogation scene. Lion asks if he didn't sleep well, or maybe it's a lack of exercise. Patrick says no to both. Lion's final guess? Are you unable to eat greasy food because of your age? That one clearly hit a nerve. Patrick decides to cut to the chase. It is because of the potion you gave me. He gets straight to the point. He asks Lion, can you make a higher quality potion than the one you just gave me? Lion is completely blindsided. His mind starts racing. In his current situation, making even a 2-star potion is pushing it. He's out of basic herbs, and the last one was a total fluke. But he can't let this go. The big boss, the investor, is finally interested. He must seize this chance. So he tells his grandfather that it will take some time, but it is possible. He cautiously asks what the potion will be used for. The old man looks him dead in the eye and says, I am going to gift it to the head maid. Lion is absolutely thunderstruck by this revelation. Lion's brain immediately short-circuits. He's picturing his grandfather and Sylvia on a romantic walk. The family head is really a spark. No, that's not it, he tells himself, but the thought is planted. He thinks, he must have been lonely since grandmother passed away. This kid is writing a whole fanfic in his head right now. He snaps out of it and, with newfound determination, tells his grandfather to please give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks. The patriarch is shocked. That's too quick. Lion immediately panics, misunderstanding the patriarch's shock and backpedals. He will make it within a week. Please wait, grandfather. And with that, he bolts out of the office, fired up and ready to go. This is my chance to secure some favor. I will absolutely do it. The patriarch is left staring after him, looking utterly baffled. The second he is out of sight, reality hits him like a ton of bricks. But how am I supposed to make a 3-star potion? He's walking through the woods, stressing out. There is not enough time to level up and make better potions through mindless grinding. And even if he bought expensive herbs, he doesn't have the skill to use them. It would be better to just buy an already made potion. Then it hits him. Come to think of it, should I check the shilling shop? There might be some quite useful materials. He pulls up the game-like interface. It looks like he can only preview items under 100,000 shillings, and the descriptions are all blurred out. He can't actually buy anything yet, and everything is wildly expensive. An old key? Is the key plated in gold? If it's this worn out, shouldn't it be cheap? He switches to the food tab, hoping for better luck. Nope. 10,000 shillings for seasoning? There's nothing I can buy here yet either. With the shop being a total bust for now, he realizes if this does not work, all that is left is the standard method. There's a limit to how many high-grade herbs I can gather with my bare hands. To get high-grade herbs, what I need right now are high-quality tools, which leads him to a local smithy where a dwarf is hard at work. His brother runs in, yelling at him, "Brother, come over here for a second." The dwarf isn't having it. "I don't want to. I'm busy as hell. Why are you calling me?" the brother insists. Come quickly. A big spender has arrived. Come out, quick. A big spender." The dwarf grumbles, thinking if it is a big spender, you can just swindle a sucker and sell things, so why call me? But then he looks up and sees Lion standing in the doorway, dressed to the nines. The dwarf's eyes just about pop out of his head. This is no sucker. This is old money. Lion asks if he is the owner of this smithy, then gets to his request. By any chance, could I experience the blacksmithing work here? Of course, he doesn't plan to do it for free. He holds up a hefty sack of coins. The sack is practically bursting with gold. He says, "I plan to pay enough for the compensation that you won't feel it is lacking. How about it?" So let's rewind back a little. After getting that insane request from his grandfather, Lion is in a bit of a bind. He needs to make a 3-star potion, which means he needs high-grade herbs, which means he needs high-grade tools. But looking at his current collection, things are looking pretty grim. We're talking ordinary hoe, rough hoe, and normal hoe. Not exactly top-tier equipment. He figures he needs a master blacksmith, but knows they're probably too busy making epic swords to bother with farming tools. Plus, it would take way too long, and he's on a serious deadline, which leads him to a local smithy, where he walks up to one of the workers with a very specific and very strange request. Lion asks if there's any way he could try out some blacksmithing work there. Of course, he plans to compensate them generously for the trouble. And by generously, I mean he brought a sack of gold so heavy it probably counts as a strength training exercise. Inside, the owner, a gruff-looking dwarf, is not having it. He's already got a headache from the fire, and now he has to humor some noble's little game. But his brother, who Lion was just talking to, is practically begging him to watch his words. The brother is so earnest, he actually tries to give the money back. He tells the young master that this is more than enough for making a hoe, and that he should take it back. He's worried Lion is being scammed, because that's just how nice this guy is. Lion just laughs, explaining that he gave them a lot on purpose. The brother is still confused. He asks why a softy like him wants to try making a hoe himself. You can practically see the question marks floating over his head. That's when the dwarf owner steps up, arms crossed, and takes over the conversation. And this guy is the real deal. We get a quick lore drop on dwarves. They're a race that doesn't get burned by fire, has tremendous strength, and is second to none when it comes to meticulous crafting. Basically, they were born to be blacksmiths. They're a rare sight these days, so Lion is pretty surprised to find one running a local smithy. The dwarf cuts right to it and asks for his name. Lion Astery. The name immediately clicks for the dwarf. Ah, the famous weirdo of the Astery family? The brother behind him just about has a heart attack. But the dwarf seems completely unfazed by his reputation. He just yells at his brother to get a spot ready for this eccentric guy. The poor brother looks like he wants the ground to swallow him whole. The dwarf points to a spot by the fire and tells Lion he can use it. He also tells him to work his brother hard while he's at it. Lion is just happy this worked out and gives a cheerful thank you. He turns to ask the dwarf for his name, but the little guy is already stomping away without another word. The human brother John steps in to smooth things over. He says his brother's name is Millionth Mudu, but everyone just calls him Mudu. Now that that's settled, John offers to show our boy around the place. Lion takes the tour, looking genuinely impressed by the workshop. As John explains their process, Lion takes a closer look at everything. He sees the racks of finished farming tools ready to be sold, and he watches the blacksmiths at work. He can tell they're skilled and their equipment is solid. Everything is done with care. But something's not right. Despite all this, the quality of the finished products is surprisingly low. As he's thinking this over, his eyes land on the hearth, and that's when he spots it. There's a tiny, lower-grade fire spirit in the forge, and the poor thing looks absolutely miserable, weaker than it should be. So he turns to John and asks if the flame in the hearth is always this weak. John gets all flustered, stammering that it's not exactly weak, but the firepower has definitely decreased recently. He's surprised Lion could even tell and asks him how he knew. Lion's answer is simple: the fire told me. This immediately gets Mudu's attention. The dwarf's whole demeanor shifts. He stops Lion in his tracks and dismisses his brother, telling John to go take care of business. He needs to have a private word with this guy. The two of them now stands face to face outside the workshop. Mudu stares him down and gets straight to the point. You saw it, didn't you? Lion doesn't even try to deny it. He just calmly says, I saw it. Mudu presses on. Can you fix it? Lion gives it a moment's thought and replies, probably. That one word is all Mudu needs to hear. He looks desperate, but also hopeful, and he makes an incredible offer. If Lion really can fix this problem, Mudu will personally teach him everything he knows about blacksmithing. And that's not even the best part. On top of the private lessons, he'll give Lion top priority for any orders, anytime. Coming from the most famous smithy in the entire fief, that's an insane deal. Top priority ordering rights? Lion can barely contain his glee. With a huge grin, he accepts. All right, leave it to me. With the deal struck, Mudu explains the full situation. He worked himself to the bone to build this smithy into the largest in the territory, but in the process, he's completely exhausted their fire spirit. Without the spirit's power, their quality is dropping. He's tried to make up for it with his own skill, but he's hitting his limit. And because he's a dwarf, he can't understand what the spirit needs. They're on the verge of ruin. Meanwhile, Lion is having a nice little chat with the fire spirit. Looking at the little spirit, Mudu is completely baffled. But Lion continues, since he can see and hear the spirit, he knows exactly what's wrong. It says it's thirsty. Thirsty? The dwarf is totally lost. His immediate, genius-level suggestion is to splash some water on it. Lion gives him a look that just screams, Are you kidding me right now? Mudu grabs him, totally panicked, yelling that if it's not water, what is he supposed to do? Lion tells him to calm down. They just have to give the fire spirit something it can drink. Mudu is practically begging now, promising Lion his finest masterpiece, anything at all if he can just fix it. Lion asks if he's being serious. Mudu confirms, yes, he's dead serious. That's all our boy needed to hear. A sly little grin spreads across his face. He seals the deal with a handshake and tells Mudu he'll get to work right away. So, later that evening, the smithy is quiet except for one person. Lion is working late, muttering to himself about this unintentional overtime. His system window confirms the quest. The lower-grade spirit is complaining of thirst. Its energy almost completely dried up from constant labor. He needs to quench its thirst. He thinks about how, under normal circumstances, a spirit like this would have just collapsed from exhaustion by now. But since this is the biggest smithy in the fief, the workload is non-stop. Our boy feels a little too relatable to this overworked spirit, but now that he knows the problem, he knows the exact solution. Aqua Rosemary. His system brings up the aqua rosemary oil recipe. It's a simple combination of the herb and some oil. He explains that by itself, it's just a herb that tastes a little salty. But when you process it correctly, it transforms into an oil that a fire spirit can actually consume. With a little bit of work, he's created a bottle of Astri-made aqua rosemary oil. It's done. He takes the bottle over to the hearth and tells the little spirit, "Here, drink." He carefully pours the glowing blue liquid directly onto the flame. A series of notifications pop up. The spirit's thirst is partially relieved, and the oil is a perfect match for its attributes. But it's not quite enough. The spirit is still thirsty. "No problem for our boy." He just smiles and says, "Yes, yes, I'll make more for you." He immediately gets back to work, expertly processing more herbs and squeezing out every last drop of the special oil. He gives the spirit another dose, and this time, the flames roar back to life. A notification confirms the spirit's thirst is completely relieved and its energy is fully restored. The little spirit is incredibly grateful. As a reward, Lion's Spirit Attunement talent gets a massive 30% experience boost. Not a bad day's work. From across the room, Mudu has been watching the whole thing, and he is absolutely losing his mind. "You eccentric fellow, you did it!" He's completely in awe, staring at Lion like he's some kind of god. Truly an amazing guy. As Mudu starts to thank him, he notices Lion is looking a little pale. Are you all right?" Lion tries to brush it off, looking a little unsteady on his feet. "Oh, this? I'm fine. It's just because I stayed up all night. It's nothing." And with that, our boy's legs give out and he collapses right there on the smithy floor. Mudu rushes forward in a blind panic, screaming, "No, you can't go like this, you rascal!" The next morning, Lion wakes up not in the dusty smithy, but in a proper bed. Mudu apparently dragged his unconscious body home. He's having a nice breakfast when two little faces pop up over the table. They ask him for his name, and for some reason, Lion decides to play along. They seem to love it. Watching the two of them, Lion thinks about how sweet it is to have a sibling, which leads to a very brief, very ominous thought about his own younger sibling. All he remembers is that they were prickly and that they definitely did not like him. He just shrugs it off. As long as they don't cross paths, it's fine. He has no interest in being the family head anyway. Just then, a woman calls out to the children, telling them to stop bothering the young master while he's eating. The kids, however, are way more interested in the new guest. They says, "Oh, so his name is, young master?" Lion laughs and tells them his actual name is Lion. The little boy considers this, then decides young master sounds way cooler, so he's sticking with that. Our boy is a little amused but doesn't mind. He's got a soft spot for these kids already. As the woman shoos them away, she apologizes for the interruption. But Lion just smiles, saying it's nice to see them so full of energy. And hey, the soup is delicious. The system introduces her as Leia, Mudu's wife. Leia is just so relieved he's okay. She says she was shocked when her husband carried him in this morning. She thanks him over and over for solving their family's problem, even though it took such a toll on him. We get a quick, hilarious flashback of Mudu sobbing and clinging to a passed-out Lion. Lion just waves it off. He says a place to rest and a good meal is more than enough repayment. Right on cue, Mudu shows up at the door, looking well-rested. His kids immediately swarm him, climbing all over him and asking if the young master really did heal the spirit. He confirms that yes, the young master is the real deal. Then he smiles. Now that everyone's eaten, it's time to go. He tells Lion he's already prepared everything. Back at the smithy, Lion is a little confused. What exactly has been prepared? Mudu shows him a fancy golden plaque. He explains that this is Lion's priority order form. Anything he needs, he just has to write it down, and Mudu will craft and deliver it, no questions asked. But that's just the appetizer. Mudu leads him toward the forge, telling him to come over here. Lion peeks around the corner, his eyes widening in shock. Because Mudu hasn't just prepared some tools, he's prepared a literal mountain of high-grade, pre-smelted iron, all forged by his own dwarven hands. Lion is floored. He says Mudu is teaching him way more seriously than he expected. Mudu just scoffs. "What, did you think you were just going to copy me and call it a day?" Lion gets all flustered and quickly asks what he should start with. "Now that's more like it." Mudu grins, tells him that's the spirit, and says to watch closely. With Lion looking on, the lesson begins. The first step, he explains, is all about the temperature of the iron. The newly revived fire spirit is happily helping out, looking cuter than ever. It can't be too cool, but if you overheat it, the whole thing will just melt. You have to pulse out at the perfect moment. Then comes the hammer. He says controlling your strength is the most important part. With a few precise strikes, he demonstrates how to shape the metal, making the blade thin and the rest of it thick and sturdy. After refining the details and sharpening the edge on a whetstone, he attaches the handle with a final, solid tap. Just like that, a perfect hoe is complete. He holds it out to Lion with a proud look on his face. "See? Pretty easy, right?" Lion is speechless. Mudu laughs, admitting it wouldn't be easy for a normal person, but with him as a teacher, it'll be a breeze. So Lion asks if he can use all the iron Mudu prepared. Mudu gives him the green light, and our boy immediately grabs a stack of ingots, says, "Got it," and marches straight to the forge. Mudu is left completely dumbfounded. "What do you mean, got it? This isn't something you just get on the first try, but Lion is already in the zone. He tells Mudu he's giving it a shot, and with a mighty swing, he gets to work. It is, of course, way harder than it looks. His arms are already aching. His first attempt is, well, it's something. The system calls it an incomplete hoe, with a completion rate of 15% and a status of beyond repair. It's basically a sad, lumpy piece of metal. But our boy doesn't give up. He wipes the sweat from his brow, knowing that if he just keeps trying, he'll get it eventually. Mudu just watches, a little stunned by his tenacity, so he tries again. And again. The sound of hammering fills the smithy. Slowly but surely, his completion rate starts to climb. 30%, 40%. The happy little fire spirit seems to be giving him a power boost. And then, something clicks. He finally finds the right rhythm. He swings with a newfound focus, and a flurry of system notifications pop up. His completion rate hits 50%. And for refusing to give up, he's awakened a new talent, Blacksmith. His proficiency is now Apprentice Level 1. Mudu sees it happen. That last strike was different. Let's make it with that, he yells. He can feel it. The iron is completely different from before. Working together, with Mudu guiding his hands, they finish the piece, and it's done. Lion holds up the finished tool, beaming with pride. The system confirms it. He's created the Astery Hoe. A masterpiece that not only increases gathering speed, but also the chance of finding high-grade herbs, all thanks to the power of the fire spirit. Mudu can't believe it. He calls Lion a crazy brat, saying he's got some serious talent. Lion just admires his handiwork. Does it look that good? Mudu is practically bouncing. More than good. It's better than what most experienced blacksmiths could make. The fire spirit seems to agree, giving a happy little wiggle in the forge. Lion figures since he finished one, he should probably take a break. And by break, he means turning to Mudu with a maniacal grin and demanding to learn how to make a sickle next. Mudu is just completely lost. The sheer, unadulterated work ethic on this kid is terrifying. But then he just cracks up. This kid's determination is absolutely insane, and he loves it. He agrees to teach him everything. The two of them celebrate their new partnership. That night, Lion looks up at the moon more determined than ever. Just wait a little longer, Grandpa. I'll definitely make your dream come true. With his new tools in hand, he heads out into the forest after dark. He tests out the new hoe, and the effect is instantaneous. With a single swing, he unearths a rare ingredient. A system window pops up, identifying it as 1-star finger ginseng, a plant that restores stamina. He can't believe the difference. All he did was use a higher-grade hoe, and the results are this huge. But it's more than just the quality. With both a hoe and a sickle, the variety of herbs he can gather has expanded too. The forest is practically glowing with opportunity. He can feel it now. With a bit more practice, making that 3-star potion is totally possible. He gets back to work, ready to grind until he masters his new skill. His hoe strikes something new, and a couple of item windows appear. Banana sweet potato leaves and shoots. He recognizes the plant instantly. If those are the leaves, that means right under the soil, there must be sweet potatoes. He goes to dig them up, but suddenly, the hoe itself begins to glow with a fiery light. And a new notification pops up. The blessing of the lesser spirit has been activated. Thanks to the fire spirit's blessing, he's obtained a perfectly roasted banana sweet potato. Lion thinks this could work on anything edible. Total jackpot. He just hoed once and got this. He's looking at it like it's the most precious thing in the world. He can't resist. Gotta eat first, work later. He takes a big bite and immediately regrets it. It's hot. But actually, he likes it this way. He's puffing away the heat, totally loving it. He thinks sweet potatoes taste best when they're hot enough to burn your mouth. The flavor is amazing. It's sweet, savory, and has the taste of a root crop. It's almost like eating a sweet potato with milk. The system is just handing out gourmet meals now. He's so happy he's practically glowing. Delicious. But his snack time is interrupted by some unexpected guests. A couple of adorable, round little birds land right in front of him. He asks if they want some too. Being the nice guy he is, he tosses them a piece. The little bird pecks at it, and its mind is blown. The art style literally changes to convey how good this sweet potato is. Lion laughs, telling them to eat a lot. They're all happily flapping around him now. He thinks about how he had a friend like this back when he played the game. Makes him wonder if they're doing okay. Alright, snack time is over. He's filled up on sugar, so it's time to get back to gathering potion ingredients. First things first, though. He's gonna dig up a few more of these magical sweet potatoes. We cut away from the forest to the sprawling Astery estate. A man we haven't seen before is sighing. His name's John, and he's worried. He's speaking to himself, saying it's been 3 days since young Master Lion left the house. What on earth is he doing at a smithy? He's freaking out, wondering if he should go look for him. But just then another voice chimes in, saying the first young master hasn't returned yet. John turns to see who it is. It's the head maid, looking as stern as ever. John is already worried sick, and now there are strange rumors going around the estate. People are saying Lion will die soon, or that he'll be kicked out. Yikes. Just then, a cheerful voice calls out, asking if everyone was out here. It's Lion! He's back, looking a little scruffy but in high spirits, with a bag full of flowers. Everyone freaks out. The head maid just cries out, "Young master!" Goodness, what in the world happened to you? Lion just brushes it off with a smile. He's fine. It's nothing much. The head maid isn't buying it. She's just staring, probably thinking, how did the heir to the great Astery family end up looking like a part-time farmer? John is more focused on the new addition, pointing and asking, "What is that bird?" Lion looks at his shoulder, completely surprised. "Huh? When did you follow me?" The bird just looks pleased with itself. The head maid has had enough. She steps forward, telling Lion he can stop now. He assumes she's scolding him on his grandfather's orders. He gets all flustered, saying his grandpa's so uncool for tattling. He assures her that it hasn't been a week yet, so she should just wait a little longer. He was a bit late, but he managed to get all the ingredients somehow. The head maid is stunned. "You got the ingredients?" "Yep." He tells her to wait just a bit longer. He'll try to make it as fast as he can. He waves off John, telling him he's fine, so just go about your business comfortably. But John is not having it. He starts chasing him as he runs off, yelling at him to at least take some medicine for his scrapes. The head maid just watches him go, her expression unreadable. We get a peek into her thoughts. She's a witch, and most potions don't work on her. She flashes back to Lion's childhood. He was the sickliest of all the Asteries she'd ever seen. Because of that, he was the one she cared for the most. He was always so fragile. So, watching him do rough smithing work and stay up all night digging for herbs, it made her feel a small, tiny sense of anticipation. She turns and walks away, still thinking, can he really make a potion of that level? The scene changes. It's a few days later. We're in the Patriarch's office. Patriarch looks at the head maid, Sylvia, and asks, "You're here?" He says, seeing my sister's expression. It seems it had an effect. Sylvia is holding a small, glowing potion bottle, looking absolutely ecstatic. She's blushing and stammering, saying her emotions and mind, which had been murky for decades, suddenly became clear. She knew that child was working hard, but to think he'd make a potion that works even on her in such a short time, she says this is impossible unless the Patriarch used some method to help him. The Patriarch, Patrick, cuts her off, saying he did nothing. He waves a hand at the mountain of paperwork on his desk, saying he's just busy preparing for Lion's coming-of-age ceremony again, the one that got cancelled because of his mana shock. Sylvia gets a very serious look on her face. If Lion made a potion of this level without anyone's help, that's a problem in a whole other sense. She looks down at the potion. It seems like a true hero's potion. Traditionally, a hero is an entity that appears alongside monsters before the world is swallowed by evil and saves the world. But you can never say their individual lives are happy. They fight to save a world in chaos and have to taste continuous despair and emptiness in the process. And when this world finds peace, they suddenly disappear. Just like consumables prepared to save this world, they disappear without a trace. The remaining comrades and descendants struggle to find them, but they can't find even the smallest trace. He looks up, his face etched with worry. If, just by any chance, what should we do if Lion is really a hero? He says it's enough for him to have already lost a comrade he fought with on the battlefield. He does not want to feel that feeling from his grandson as well. But Sylvia just smiles. If so, she says, now is the time to hide our puppy well. This old person, Sylvia, will now retire. Patrick slams his desk, shouting, "What? That cannot be!" He asks if that makes sense. She's giving up her own freedom just to hide Lion. He knows it's not like she wants to live subordinated to this family forever. If it were up to him, he would find a hidden contract and let her sister rest more, but she cuts him off. Patrick, worrying about a witch is the most useless thing in the world. A dark aura begins to swirl around her as she walks away. She says she has already memorized the contents of the contract fluently. She recites the two main clauses, which Sylvia cannot leave the Astery estate, and which Sylvia can live as a human within the Astery estate. As she speaks, her form begins to change. The old woman transforms into a stunning young woman with long, flowing black hair. She turns, a smirk on her face and her red eyes glowing. Since our puppy has allowed me to live a bit more like a human in various ways, I shall gladly protect him from close by. The scene shifts to a different, opulent room. A voice mentions that a new maid has come in, and as Lion's exclusive maid at that, we see a young man sitting at a desk. His name is Lixil Astery, the second son of the Astery family. He's an unprecedented genius, the future heir, and the youngest fourth circle mage in history. Basically, he's the total package. So when big things happen in the family, he's the first to notice something's up. And the sudden retirement of the long-serving head maid, Sylvia, definitely qualifies as something up. Lixil's thinking it makes zero sense for her to retire over a single potion. Definitely suspicious. We flash back to the previous night. Lixil is talking with the old Sylvia, remarking that she seems awfully cheerful for someone who's about to retire. She tells him she's just here to say her goodbyes, and that the potion Lion gave her worked wonders. Lixil just can't wrap his head around it. His useless older brother actually did something incredible? No way. Sylvia gives him a little nudge. If he's so curious, why not go see for himself? She even brings up how he used to follow Lion everywhere as a kid. which gets a nice blush out of the stoic genius. With a knowing look, she tells him that everything she said is true and suggests he go shadow his brother for a day if he wants proof. And that little seed of doubt starts to grow. Back in the present, Lixil stares at the new maid's file. Is it really all thanks to his foolish brother? He's had enough of sitting around. He grabs his cloak. It's time to see what's really going on with his own two eyes. So, he heads out to the last place anyone heard Lion was hanging around, the Mimir Forest. As he walks through the dreary, pathless woods, he's already complaining. What could Lion possibly find appealing about this place? If he needed herbs, he could have just sent a servant. But then he hears a strange rustling noise up ahead. He peeks through the bushes, and there he is, his brother, just kneeling on the ground, holding some kind of glowing rock he just dug up. And then, to Lixil's absolute horror, Lion opens his mouth to take a giant, feral bite out of the dirty thing. That's it. Lixil snaps. He whips out his wand, yelling, "Stop right there!" He screams at Lion that he can't eat something so filthy, and he unleashes a blast of magic right at his brother. The spell hits its mark, knocking the sweet potato right out of Lion's hands. The scene freezes. Two brothers, one zaps sweet potato on the ground. A tragedy in the making. Lion drops to his knees, the world crashing down around him. He lets out a gut-wrenching cry of despair as a system window pops up, declaring his precious snack officially inedible. Even his little bird spirit is crying. Furious and heartbroken, Lion spins around, demanding to know who's there. And he's met with the sight of his very well-dressed, very out-of-place little brother. Lixil is panicking. This was supposed to be a stealth mission, just a quick peek. He was not prepared for social interaction. Lion, completely bewildered, just asks what Lixil is doing out in the middle of the woods. His mind immediately jumps to the worst conclusion. Is Lixil here to keep him in check? A classic Succession battle move. The narrator kindly informs us that, no, he was not. Lixil, bless his heart, tries to explain. He apologizes for the magic, but says he just couldn't stand by and watch his brother eat dirt. It's unsanitary. Lion is just confused. Bro, it's a sweet potato. They grow in the dirt. It's kind of their whole deal. Lixil, who has clearly never seen a vegetable that wasn't perfectly washed and served on a silver platter, is stumped. He asks if Lion is referring to the starch-rich root crop. Lion has never been so baffled in his life. He doesn't even know how to respond to that. He finally just asks, "Wait, have you seriously never eaten a sweet potato before?" Lion tells him he's been missing out on a fundamental life experience. Lixil looks like his whole world has been shaken. Is it really that big of a deal? Our guy just sighs and tells his clueless brother to sit tight while he goes and digs up a few more. Then he gets a brilliant idea, turning to Lixil with a grin. "Hey, you know fire magic, right?" Lixil, a bit flustered, confirms that, yes, a simple campfire is not difficult for a mage of his caliber. So, a few moments later, we have one magical genius sitting patiently by a roaring fire he just conjured. Lion comes back with a fresh haul of sweet potatoes, and without any ceremony, he just tosses them right into the flames. Lixil is immediately concerned they're going to burn to a crisp, but Lion assures him the thick skin will cook the inside perfectly. It's fine. So the two brothers just sit there by the fire, an awkward silence hanging in the air. Lion, ever the chill older brother now, decides to drop some wisdom on his workaholic sibling. He tells him that sometimes you gotta step away from the routine to clear your head. Pushing forward is good, but rest is just as crucial, and for the first time, Lixil seems to actually hear him. He thinks he understands what his brother means. Soon, an amazing smell fills the air. Lion declares the sweet potatoes are ready and pulls them out of the coals. He hands one to a very hesitant Lixil. Lixil takes a tentative bite, and his entire world changes. His eyes go wide. This is actually delicious. Lion grins, telling him they're a special kind called banana sweet potatoes. Lion explains that when it's freezing outside, there's nothing people crave more than roasted sweet potatoes and other warm street food. It's the ultimate comfort food. Lixil is completely absorbed, savoring every last bite. Lion watches him, thinking to himself that kids his age just eat like monsters. He remembers his own student days of nonstop snacking. Lixil suddenly gasps, looking down at the pile of discarded skins. He can't believe how much he's eaten without even realizing it. Lion just laughs, glad that his brother liked it. A flustered Lixil shyly admits that he did. He tells his little brother to eat as much as he wants. After all, Lixil has been working himself to the bone for the family while Lion was, well, not. Lixil is clearly touched by the sentiment. Lion reassures him that being sick is hard, but it's also hard for the people watching, and he never once blamed Lixil. Then, in a quiet moment of vulnerability, Lixil makes a confession. The truth is, he's actually a little jealous of his brother. He says Lion possesses the one thing he lacks. He quickly backtracks, saying it's not like he's unhappy with his life or anything. Lion just gives him a warm laugh. He really is just a kid after all. He tells him that he's worked hard, and he's at an age where it's okay to be a little selfish and just do what he wants sometimes. And for a moment, they're not the useless heir and the genius successor. They're just two brothers, sharing a quiet moment by the fire. Lixil looks up at the starry sky, thinking to himself that the old maid, Sylvia, was right. He's really, truly glad he came to see his brother. Next day, back in his room, Lion is checking stock of his new life. His system window pops up, showing his current funds. He's already gathered 71,500 shillings, but he needs to hit 100,000 to unlock the system shop. He thinks about the trouble he went through for Sylvia, which also netted him a nice level up. He also has a private chuckle at the thought of his grandfather getting turned down by her. But for now, he's just happy. Since he's no longer in danger of being kicked out, he can finally kick back and relax. Just as he's settling in, there's a knock at the door. He tells them to enter. Lion is taken by surprise when he sees who it is. A new maid introduces herself as Elvia. She'll be serving him from now on. But Lion immediately senses something is off about her. His mind flashes to a chibi version of Sylvia and Elvia, and he realizes there must be a special reason for the head maid's sudden retirement. He figures that in a fantasy world, it's not so strange for other races to exist, just like dwarves. Playing it cool, Lion welcomes Elvia, who bows deeply and tells him to call for her whenever he needs something. He gives her a genuine smile and thanks her. His sincerity catches her off guard. He then tells her that thanks to her, he and his brother have actually grown closer, leaving the new maid utterly confused. Seeing her blank expression, Lion laughs it off, saying they can pick up the conversation later. He grabs his bag and coat, announcing he's supposed to go out with Lixel today, and heads for the door. Meanwhile, once he's out in the town, he's not having a good time. He's internally panicking, wondering why his stamina is still rock bottom even though he's been training on the mountain every single day. A handy and hilarious infographic shows us just how bad it is. He's collapsed from exhaustion almost 900,000 times and even fallen asleep while eating nearly 33,000 times. He wonders if it's a lingering effect of his mana shock and concludes he desperately needs to get checked by a priest. The poor kid is struggling to even keep up with Lixel, who has to promise to walk slower. He realizes that, at this rate, I am going to fall ill before the rescheduled succession rite. He needs to find a way to meet a priest without their family or the temple finding out. And then he gets an idea, volunteering. If they do charity work for the temple, they might be able to meet a priest naturally. Out in the bustling town square, Lion asks his brother where they're heading. Lixel points out that they're too conspicuous dressed as nobles, so their first stop won't be a clothing store but something a little more specialized, a magic tool shop. They arrive at a rather quirky-looking establishment, with bells chiming as they approach. Lion is in awe. He's wandered all over the territory but had no idea a place like this even existed. Inside, Lixel explains that it's a secret spot that only those in the know frequent. This makes Lion a bit nervous, and he asks if they sell any illegal items. Lixel's less than reassuring answer is, probably. Looking around, Lion is a bit underwhelmed, commenting that all the fascinating items seem like they're for kids. And he's not wrong. We see a single-use earring that doubles your hearing, and a fountain pen designed specifically to help students cheat on their punishment lines. Lixel blushes, admitting he only knows about this place because he used to come here during his academy days. Lion immediately understands. Suddenly, the shop owner appears, greeting them with a grand gesture. He proudly declares that his shop has everything a customer could ever want, except for hair-growing medicine. Apparently, that's a tough nut to crack even for magic. Lixel gets straight to the point, telling the owner they're looking for disguise tools. The man is delighted to help. He points them towards an entire section filled with magical disguises. First, he shows them the budget-friendly options, like a skinny bracelet with a side effect of midnight snack cravings, and height-boosting insoles that comically only make your ankles longer. Then he gestures to the premium section, where the items are pricier but much more effective, capable of completely changing one's appearance. He presents them with a particularly potent item, a beautiful golden hairpin. It's called Unrecognizable Child, a powerful artifact that can change hair and eye color, and even create temporary tattoos. The perfect disguise, lasting for a full 10 hours. Impressed, the brothers decide to purchase the hairpin. With their new acquisition in hand, they leave the shop. Outside, Lixel asks Lion how he liked the store. Lion admits it was fun, and that he'd like to come back and look around more later. As they walk, Lion notices their bag feels a bit heavy. He wonders if the shopkeeper threw in a freebie since they made such an expensive purchase. He looks inside the bag to check. He pulls out a surprisingly valuable bonus item, an artisan's repair kit, capable of fixing any artisan-grade item. Lion is shocked. He can't believe they'd get something so useful as a free gift. Lixel tells Lion he has no use for it and offers the whole kit to him. Lion is touched by the gesture. With their disguise tool secured, Lion says it's time to put it to use, and with a surge of magical energy, the transformation begins. In a flash of blue light, their appearance completely changes. Blonde hair turns a soft brown, and the purple eyes become a brilliant blue. Lion is amazed by how seamless and perfect the disguise is. Lion is confident that this will be enough to let them move around unnoticed. With their new looks, they set off. Their journey takes them not to the temple, but to a quaint watermill by a river. Lixel is completely baffled. He asks Lion why they're at a mill when he said they were going to volunteer. Lion explains that this is part of the plan. Flour is a key donation item, so they're here to check on it. As a bonus, he adds that this particular mill is famous for baking incredible bread from its freshly ground flour. But a sly look from Lion tells us there's another, much more important reason for their visit. They're greeted by the mill's cheerful owner, Nicholas, who says he's been expecting them. Lion's inner thoughts reveal his true motive. Nicholas isn't just any miller, he's one of the few devout believers in the territory, famous for his generous donations and his connections. Lion's plan is to build a rapport with this man, which he hopes will give him a natural way to access the temple and finally find a priest. Lion asks them if the milling of the wheat went well. Nicholas confirms it was perfect, saying the quality was so high he was practically moved to tears. Not a single bug-eaten grain in the whole lot. The miller is curious, though. He asks the two young men why they need such a large quantity of flour. Lion puts on his best benevolent noble act and explains he was heartbroken after seeing starving children and decided to make a donation. Nicholas is deeply impressed by their kindness and asks if they've chosen a place for their donation yet. This is the moment Lion's been waiting for. He feigns indecisiveness and asks Nicholas for a recommendation, silently begging him to say the temple, and it works perfectly. Nicholas suggests they donate to the orphanage run by the temple. Lion can barely hide his excitement, clenching his fist in victory. Keeping his composure, Lion asks about the orphanage, specifically how many children live there. Nicholas tells them there are only about 30 children. He explains that while the temple facilities were once very well funded, their circumstances have changed for the worse, and their funding has been cut. He explains that because the Astri territory is dominated by powerful magic families, the temple receives very few donations. The nobles feel it would be awkward to publicly support a religious institution. Looking at the two disguised brothers, Nicholas sees two well-off young masters. He expresses his hope that they can connect with the orphanage and help improve its dire situation. Suddenly, Lion has another brilliant idea, sparked by Nicholas's mention of baking bread. He points out a flaw in their plan. Even if they donate all this flour, it will take the understaffed orphanage time to actually bake anything for the kids. With a bright, determined smile, Lion proposes a new plan. Why not bake the bread themselves so the children can have something to eat right away? Lion adds that the orphanage might not even have the other ingredients needed to bake. Nicholas is completely on board, eagerly agreeing to the plan. Lixil is taken aback, realizing he was so focused on his brother that he never considered the children's immediate needs. He's once again impressed by Lion's thoughtfulness. Lixil and Nicholas both agree it's a wonderful idea. They decide to do it right away. Lion can barely contain his glee as his master plan comes together, and so the baking session begins at Nicholas's mill and bakery. Inside, Lion takes stock of the supplies, noting they have plenty of one-star whole wheat flour and even some high-quality two-star olive oil. He figures the premium oil will give the bread a wonderfully rich flavor. Nicholas announces they'll be making a classic whole wheat bread. It's easy, delicious, and a guaranteed hit with the kids. He confidently rolls up his sleeves, ready to start the lesson. The process is simple. Just knead the flour with salt, yeast, and milk. Then let the dough rise, press out the air, and mix in some crushed sunflower seeds. And with that, the dough is ready for the oven. Lixil, a prodigy in magic, finds the process almost laughably easy. He's already prepped his dough while Nicholas is still checking on his brother. Lion, on the other hand, is having the time of his life. Looks like he's also done kneading dough. When Nicholas checks on Lixil's first attempt, it's a complete disaster. The bread is a burnt, rock-hard mess that crumbles to dust. Nicholas explains that he packed the dough too tightly, but tries to reassure Lixil, who's gone pale with secondhand embarrassment. He reminds them it's his first try and that one of the loaves actually turned out okay. Just then, Nicholas announces that the first young master's bread is finished. He carefully opens the oven door and is immediately blasted by a divine, blinding light. Somehow, Lion has baked a perfect, glowing loaf of bread. A system window confirms it. He's created a one-star Astri-crafted whole wheat bread, a perfectly crisp and chewy loaf. His cooking proficiency has even leveled up to apprentice level 2. Everyone is left utterly speechless, staring at the tray of perfectly golden brown bread. Nicholas and Lixil can't believe their eyes, demanding to know how he managed such a feat. Lion just smiles, explaining that he didn't do anything special. He says he just wanted the children to enjoy the most delicious bread possible, even if it was just for one day, so he put a little extra care into it. His genuine kindness and sincerity leave Nicholas stunned. The miller realizes he was completely wrong about Lion being just another spoiled rich kid. Seeing their pure intentions, Nicholas is deeply moved and decides to take action. He apologizes and tells the brothers he needs to step out for an urgent matter. The two are a bit confused by his sudden departure, but Nicholas simply tells them he'll be back soon and dashes out of the bakery. Lixil, feeling a bit guilty that they might have interrupted the man's work, watches him go. Then he challenges Lion to a baking competition to see who can make the better bread. The brothers get to work, with a system window tracking their progress on the aspiring baker's achievement. As they bake, Lion's achievement progress continues to climb. A little while later, Nicholas's footsteps are heard returning to the mill. Lion turns to greet him, but stops short when he sees the miller isn't alone. Nicholas has returned with a massive crowd of townspeople. They explain that Nicholas told them all about the two kind young masters, and they were so touched they all wanted to help. One woman says her husband, a blacksmith, wanted to come but was busy, so she came in his place. Lion is completely bewildered to see the blacksmith's wife, who recognizes him even in his disguise. He simply shushes her and gets to work. Soon, the mill is overflowing with gifts from the community: milk, cheese, cured meats, and blankets. The people are more than happy to help, with some carrying sacks of supplies. One woman single-handedly hefts a giant sack of potatoes, sending the others flying with his sheer strength. She apparently used to wrestle bears in her youth. The brothers are amazed by the sheer volume of donations. Lion smiles, touched by the kindness of their people. He reflects on how a simple act of genuine effort can inspire so much good. He's ashamed of his initial selfish goal of just meeting a priest. Lixel, meanwhile, looks at his brother with pride. He thinks that as long as Lion can recover from his mana shock, he is truly destined to accomplish great things. With the help of the town, their charity project grows far beyond their expectations. A few hours later, their party arrives at the temple-affiliated orphanage. The director, seeing the mountains of food and supplies, is moved to tears. He thanks them profusely, wondering how he could ever repay their kindness. The orphans, drawn by the incredible aroma of fresh bread, peek out from behind the door. They erupt in cheers when they see not just the food, but crates filled with brand new, pretty clothes. The director, seeing the children's excitement, asks the young masters if they would be willing to hand out the bread themselves. The brothers happily agree, and Lion begins handing out the loaves he baked with so much care. The children thank them, their faces lit up with joy. But as Lion hands out the bread, he notices something strange. A young boy with dark hair and sharp eyes stands apart from the others, watching him silently. Suddenly, the boy turns and runs away without a word. Lion, confused by the boy's behavior, asks the director who he was. He tells him the boy's name is Peter and apologizes for his apparent rudeness. He explains that the children are still young and sometimes don't know how to properly respond to such overwhelming kindness. With most of the children fed and happy, the orphanage grounds are filled with a warmth they haven't felt in a long time. But Lion notices one person is missing. As the director asks where he's going, he turns back with a determined smile, explaining that the quiet boy, Peter, still hasn't received his bread. He finds Peter curled up alone under a tree, completely shut off from the world. Lion observes the boy, noting how frail and skinny he is for his age. The young master's heart aches seeing the child in such a state. He gently calls out to Peter, who flinches at the sudden attention. Not wanting to intimidate him, Lion sits down nearby and kindly offers him some of the special bread he brought. He explains that everyone else has already eaten, and this last piece is just for him. When Peter remains unresponsive, Lion tries a different tactic, cheekily describing how warm, chewy, and delicious the fresh bread is. His attempt works a little too well, as Peter's stomach lets out a massive growl, completely betraying his tough exterior. Mortified, Peter curls up even tighter. Lion realizes the boy is truly hungry. He understands this isn't a simple tantrum. Refusing food when you're starving points to a much deeper wound. So, with incredible patience, Lion decides to simply sit and wait with him. Meanwhile, Lixel thanks the director for her help and prepares to head back. Thinking he's finally alone, Peter dozes off under the shade of the tree. He wakes up a short while later, muttering about how annoying it is when hypocritical volunteers show up for a day and then disappear forever. To his absolute horror, he realizes he's not alone. Lion casually asks if he's awake. Peter nearly jumps out of his skin, demanding to know why Lion is still there. Lion innocently explains that the boy was sleeping so soundly, he didn't have the heart to wake him. He then changes the subject, asking if Peter isn't hungry because he himself is starving. He once again offers the loaf of bread with a gentle smile. But Peter just turns away with a huff, refusing the kind gesture. Fine, more for me then. Lion shrugs and prepares to eat the bread himself. With a dramatic flair, he rips the warm, crusty loaf in half. He takes a huge, satisfying bite, leaving Peter completely stunned. Lion cheerfully explains that since Peter didn't want it, he'll polish it off so it doesn't go to waste. The sheer audacity leaves Peter speechless and sputtering in disbelief. Finally breaking, the boy snatches the other half, shouting that he's going to eat it. Lion's power play works. Peter takes a hesitant bite, his anger quickly melting away. His eyes go wide with shock. The bread is unbelievably delicious. He begins to eat with a fervor Lion hasn't seen all day. As Peter finishes the piece, Lion speaks up, holding out his own uneaten half. He offers the rest of his portion to the still hungry boy. In Peter's eyes, he sees the reflection of this strange, kind young master. He can't understand it. It's just an ordinary loaf of bread with no special ingredients. So why does it taste so overwhelmingly good? The simple act of kindness triggers a painful memory for the young boy. He remembers the faces of the last couple who tried to adopt him. They brought him back, claiming he never opened up to them, abandoning him all over again. Tears well up in his eyes as he clutches the bread, a symbol of a kindness he can't bring himself to trust. He fiercely shoves more bread into his mouth, thinking that all adults are liars. But Lion gently interrupts his spiraling thoughts with some surprisingly wise words. He tells Peter that adults often skip meals when they're upset, which only makes them feel worse. He praises the boy for eating well despite his own sadness. Lion smiles, confessing that his only wish when baking was that someone would enjoy it, and he's truly glad Peter is that someone. This genuine, unconditional kindness finally shatters the walls around Peter's heart. When Lion asks if he's crying, the flustered boy vehemently denies it. He insists it's only because the bread is so incredibly good, a flimsy excuse Lion happily accepts. Lion then tells Peter that he will bake more and bring it for him next time. He holds out his pinky, offering to seal the deal with a promise. A promise? Peter has been let down by promises his entire life. But Lion looks him straight in the eye, declaring with unshakable confidence that he has never broken a promise in his life. For the first time, a glimmer of real hope appears in Peter's eyes. And so, the two seal their promise, a small gesture that means the world to the lonely boy. Peter boldly declares he'll eat 2 loaves next time, to which Lion playfully retorts that he should aim for 3, given his appetite. Watching this heartwarming scene from afar, the orphanage director is overcome with emotion. He can't remember the last time he saw Peter truly smile. Lion pats the boy's head, and Peter's smile is as bright as the sun. Lion then suggests they should go join the other kids, his mission a success. The director feels a pang of shame, realizing that his own busyness was just an excuse. He sees now that true sincerity, like Lion's, is what these children truly need, and that such a person deserves a blessing from the gods. As the sun begins to set, the brothers bid farewell to the children, who cheer for them to come back soon. But just as they're about to leave, the director hurries to stop them. With a sense of urgency, he asks if they would be willing to stay just a little longer. He explains that he has a surprise. He contacted a certain priest who happened to be visiting today to pray for the children. The director beams, suggesting they receive a blessing from the priest as a reward for their good deeds. Lion can hardly believe his luck. His original, somewhat selfish plan has come true, all thanks to an act of genuine kindness. Lixel, ever the polite one, graciously accepts, stating it would be rude to refuse such a thoughtful offer. The director leads them back toward the orphanage, informing them that the priest will be arriving shortly. On cue, the sound of an approaching carriage echoes through the courtyard. Lixel waits in a fancy room, clearly expecting someone. Just then, Lion pops in. But Lixel looks more worried than happy, telling his brother maybe he should put off meeting this priest. He explains that since the priest is from the temple, it could be risky. Lion doesn't even question it. He just brightly agrees and makes up an excuse about needing to practice his baking, then bounces. Lixel lets out a sigh of relief. He thinks to himself that it all worked out for the best. See, his real plan was to meet the priest first. He needed to make sure this guy didn't have any beef with their family before letting him near Lion. A short while later, the man of the hour arrives. This is Licht, a high priest of the temple. Lixel sits down with him, playing the part of the anonymous benefactor. Licht says the orphanage director told him everything. Lixel sizes him up. The priest is younger than he expected, which means he must be a big deal to be visiting an orphanage personally. Licht thanks them on behalf of the temple, saying their good deeds have helped everyone. But Lixel gives all the credit to his brother. He says baking for the kids was all Lion's idea. He then lays it on thick, explaining that his older brother has been sick since he was a kid and is still suffering from a serious illness. His hands are clasped tight as he spins his tale. He even confesses that he came here specifically to get his brother treatment from the priest. Licht just smiles gently and drops a little bomb of his own. Turns out, he also snuck out of the temple to be here, so they're both kind of playing hooky from their respective duties. This gets Lixel thinking. Is the priest refusing to help? He can't get a read on this guy at all. But then Licht makes a proposition. He tells Lixel to come back with his brother in 3 days at the exact same time. And so, 3 days later, at the crack of dawn, Lixel bursts into his brother's room. He finds Lion just vibing, completely relaxed. Turns out he couldn't sleep. Lixel asks what he's doing up so early, scolding him for not taking care of his weak body. Then he drops the good news: the priest has agreed to check on his condition. Lion's a little confused. He's been feeling a lot better lately, so calling it a serious sickness feels like a stretch. Ever since he got his mana back, the whole mana shock thing hasn't been a problem. In fact, he's been so active lately that he's actually gotten stronger. Still, he figures it's not a bad offer. A free checkup from a high priest is a pretty good deal, so he happily agrees, making Lixel's day. Lixel is just thrilled that his plan is moving forward, so they head back to the orphanage. The first thing Lion sees is a bottle of some very fancy-looking water. A system window pops up, confirming it's high-grade holy water, a rare item you can only get from a high priest under special conditions. Lion is amazed. This young-looking priest can already make stuff like this. He and Lixel give the priest a formal greeting. Licht welcomes the righteous ones, saying the pleasure is all his. They all take a seat to chat before the main event. Lion decides to ask something that's been on his mind. Why did the priest insist on meeting at dawn? Licht explains that he had a dream about the two of them. The brothers are taken aback. A dream? He elaborates that priests with strong holy power sometimes receive God's revelations through prophetic dreams. Lixel, looking a bit nervous, asks what kind of dream it was. Lick describes a peaceful vision. He saw the brothers in a field, watching over sleeping children. He says it was such a pleasant dream that he just had to meet them and see what kind of people could inspire it. He also needed to confirm something. Lion and Lixel just sit there, not really knowing what to say to that. Meanwhile, Licht is deep in thought, analyzing the situation. He's already figured out that Lixel is a powerful mage in disguise, and given their location, they're almost certainly from the prestigious Astri family. He wonders if treating the brother is their real goal, or if these mages are trying to extract information from the temple. Outwardly, though, everything is calm. Licht says he's ready to start the treatment, and Lixel agrees to step outside for a moment. The door clicks shut, leaving the two of them alone. Lion sits patiently as the priest announces he will begin. Licht places a hand over Lion's head and holy power starts to swirl around him. A massive wave of green energy erupts, engulfing our boy completely. But nothing happens. The priest looks confused. He definitely applied the blessing, so why isn't there any change? Lion just sits there, looking exactly the same as before. Thinking maybe he made a mistake, Licht decides to try again, pouring even more power into the blessing. And still, nothing. The priest is sweating now, completely baffled. But from Lion's perspective, things are going great. He's literally glowing, a serene smile on his face. He feels fantastic. He takes a deep breath, feeling his entire body get lighter. He tells the priest with a cheeky smile that he thinks that's enough of a blessing for now. The priest is at a total loss. This makes no sense. He starts rattling off the only 3 reasons a high priest's blessing would fail. First, if a mage of a higher rank rejects the treatment. Second, if the person's physical condition is already perfect, so no blessing is needed. And third, if they were born with a short lifespan. But Lion is just beaming, saying he feels so much better. The priest looks genuinely worried for him. Overcome with something, he suddenly grabs Lion's hands with an intense look. He tells Lion, with the fiery passion of 1,000 suns, that if he's ever in so much pain that he can't sleep, he must come to the temple and find him. He will absolutely, by all means, help him. With that intense promise hanging in the air, the priest takes his leave. Lion just watches him go, a bit stunned. As the holy light fades, he can't help but feel a little iffy about the whole encounter. Back at the stunning Astri castle, the day's events are sinking in. The brothers stand outside as the carriage waits. Lion remarks that it was a meaningful trip. He says while his condition was already good, the holy power was amazing. It even cured the muscle aches he got from baking all night. Then he notices that Lixel is the one who looks exhausted, pointing out his super dark circles. Lixel just forces a smile, insisting that he's fine. He quickly changes the subject, saying he has to go do his mana training, and walks off. Lion watches his little brother go, thinking that he's seriously overworking himself. Just then, he bumps into one of the maids. He voices his concerns about Lixel's tight schedule. The maid thoughtfully suggests that he should bring it up with the patriarch. She reminds him that he needs to see their father about his coming-of-age ceremony anyway, and since the patriarch is likely stressed, she recommends bringing him something sweet. Lion's eyes light up. That's a perfect idea. Following the maid's advice, Lion gets to work in the massive Astery kitchen, ready to bake something special for the patriarch. He thanks the maid for the idea, thinking cookies would be a perfect, not-too-sweet gift. But as he works the dough, he suddenly wonders if his grandfather even likes sweets. The maid smirks, correcting him that her name is Elvia, not Sylvia. Elvia reassures him that while the patriarch doesn't typically eat sweets, he'll eat anything Lion makes. This news makes Lion's day. He's about to proceed when an idea pops into his head. Elvia looks on, startled, as he reaches for a rather unusual ingredient. She asks if he's really going to put sweet potatoes in the cookies, and Lion confirms with a confident yes. Elvia notes that it's an unfamiliar combination, but Lion is convinced that once his grandfather tastes it, he'll be a convert. He explains his logic. Instead of sugar, he'll use finely chopped sweet potatoes for a natural, less burdensome sweetness. With his special dough ready, he starts cutting out some adorable shapes. He finds the cat and star shapes surprisingly cute, and makes a mental note to get more custom cutters made. With the cookies molded, he pops them into the oven to bake. A short while later, they're done. And just like magic, a system window pops up, revealing Lion Astery's special banana sweet potato chip cookie, a 1-star item that reduces fatigue. Lion is amazed that his creation has a potion-like effect. Elvia is equally impressed, noting that he created this unique recipe all on his own. She tells him the final step of cooking is tasting, encouraging him to try one. Lion happily obliges, eager to taste his new creation. He takes a bite, the cookie making a satisfying crunch. His eyes light up. It's delicious. He even thinks it tastes better than the chocolate chip cookies from his past life. The system agrees, leveling up his cooking proficiency to apprentice level 3 and saving the recipe. Elvia smiles, noting that sweets are great for relieving fatigue, and this one, with its mild sweetness, will be perfect for the patriarch. Lion thanks her for all her help. Elvia just demurely says she was only doing her duty. She offers to portion out the cookies, but Lion stops her, saying he has more to make. He's not done yet. He needs something to go with the cookies. After Elvia leaves, he sighs that now he can open his inventory. Now that he's at cooking level 3, a bunch of new recipes have been unlocked. He declares his next project a beverage. The cookie's item description did mention a synergy effect after all. He scrolls through his options and finds the perfect recipe. He's going to make a training support beverage. He figures it's something both his grandfather and Lixil will appreciate. The ingredients seem weirdly familiar, but he can't quite place them. He shrugs it off, focusing on the quality of his ingredients. The system confirms the fruits are 1-star fresh oranges and lemons. With everything in place, he dives back into his work. First, he washes the fruit and slices it into thin, neat strips. Next, he gently boils a low-grade health potion, adding the fruit and some root star anise. He waits for the refreshing flavor of the fruit to be fully extracted. Once a fragrant aroma fills the air, he strains the steaming liquid through a sieve. The final touch? A single drop of aqua rosemary oil. And it's finished. The system reveals the alchemist's training support beverage, a 1-star drink that slightly increases training efficiency. It can even knock out a minor cold. He finally realizes why it seemed familiar. It's basically this world's version of vin chaud, or mulled wine. He takes a sip and confirms that it tastes amazing too. Now it's time to combine the cookies and the drink into the ultimate care package. The system dings, recognizing it as Lion Astri's special beverage set. He's created a set meal for the first time, completing an achievement and earning a cool 3,000 shilling. He chuckles to himself, thinking that should be enough. His work in the kitchen is done. He takes off his apron and prepares to go see his grandfather. He makes his way through the opulent halls of the Astri castle. He arrives at the patriarch's office and knocks, asking if he's busy. His grandfather looks up, a bit sternly, and asks what he's bringing in, immediately scolding him for not having servants carry such things. But Lion just smiles and explains he wanted to deliver it personally. He sets the tray down, explaining he made the beverage with a potion and baked the cookies to go with it. The patriarch is taken aback, asking if Lion really made all of this himself. Lion confirms, saying he thought it would be a fun way to show his grandfather his recent achievements. He urges his grandfather to try some. The patriarch silently picks up one of the bear-shaped cookies. He takes a cautious bite, and his eyes widen in complete shock. The cookie just melts in his mouth. A subtle scent of sweet potatoes, a perfect level of sugar, a taste completely different from just roasted bananas. It's a special, exquisitely balanced flavor. He's so impressed that another system window pops up for Lion. His cooking proficiency has reached apprentice level 4. The system notes that to gain more experience, he needs someone to eat his food deliciously. Seeing the EXP bar rise, Lion knows his grandfather is enjoying it. Having finished the cookie, the patriarch gets straight to the point. He tells Lion to speak, knowing he didn't just come here to deliver snacks. Lion laughs nervously, admitting he can't fool his grandfather. He then gets to the real reason for his visit. He brings up his coming-of-age ceremony, which is scheduled to happen again soon. He asks if they could at least let Lixil rest comfortably until the ceremony is over. The patriarch narrows his eyes, asking why. Lion points out that all family members should participate in the ceremony. However, he's worried Lixil's current training schedule is far too strenuous, and he wants everyone to be bright and well. The patriarch clasps his hands, deeply moved by the request. He is completely floored by this. Such a thoughtful kid, whose nephew grew up so well. He's practically bursting with pride. He'd been worried the brothers would fight over the succession, but instead, they've built an incredible bond. Touched by this display of brotherly love, the patriarch immediately agrees. He'll call it self-directed training until the ceremony. Lion is thrilled, but then his grandfather asks if that's all. Does he have no other requests regarding his own ceremony? Lion stammers for a second before insisting he has no requests at all. The patriarch finds this odd. The highlight of the coming-of-age ceremony is the gift. The ceremony isn't just a ritual, it's a way for the family to flaunt its wealth by getting the heir whatever they desire, even if it's the rarest jewel in the world. And his grandson, the future head of the family, says he needs nothing? He comes to a wild conclusion. That must mean Lion wants him to take care of it well on his own, to prepare the most extravagant gift imaginable. A terrifying aura starts radiating from the patriarch. A nervous Lion decides it's time to make a quick exit. As Lion scurries away, the patriarch is left alone in his office, now burdened with a new, self-imposed mission. He hums to himself, pondering, just what should he do to prepare for this ceremony? Well, meanwhile, Lion walks away, completely oblivious to the massive misunderstanding he's just created, simply happy he could help his little brother. The scene shifts to Lixil's study, which is an absolute disaster zone of paperwork. Buried under the mountains of documents is Lion's younger brother, looking completely exhausted. Suddenly, the doors burst open, and an energetic Lion startles his sibling, sending papers flying everywhere. He playfully strolls in, teasing Lixil about his messy room. Lixil, caught completely off guard, blushes in embarrassment, stammering that he never wanted his brother to see him like this. Lion just grins, presenting the tray of cookies and the special beverage he made, figuring his brother must be tired. The two brothers sit down, the delicious-looking treats between them. Lixil picks up one of the cute bunny-shaped cookies and takes a tentative bite. His eyes immediately fly open in astonishment. He's completely blown away by the taste, gushing that his brother is truly talented with his hands. But Lion has more good news. He tells Lixil that he can take it easy until the coming-of-age ceremony. With a kind smile, he explains he already got permission from their grandfather, seeing how worn out Lixil looked. Lixil is deeply moved, his heart swelling with gratitude for his caring older brother. But then he reveals he wasn't exhausted from the training, but from being worried about Lion's upcoming ceremony, which leaves Lion completely stumped. Lixil explains that he was worried about the family ritual tied to the ceremony. Lion then gets a quick primer on the Astri family's coming-of-age tradition, a trial known as the Labyrinth of the Library. It's a magical test that guides the participant to a skill they need most. If you follow its guidance, it's a simple library. If you resist, it becomes an endless maze. Lixil is worried because Lion has no mana. But our current Lion just laughs it off, reassuring his little brother that it's nothing more than a formality. Lixil, however, looks even more distressed, clutching his head as he reveals the real problem isn't the ritual, it's the clothes. Lion just stares, completely baffled. Clothes? What could possibly be so bad about the clothes? Lixil frantically rummages through the papers on his desk and pulls out a design sketch. He shoves the paper in Lion's face, and our hero's confident smirk is replaced with a look of pure, unadulterated horror. Behold, the patriarch's masterpiece, a cacophony of fashion crimes featuring massive pointed shoulders, neon green leggings, and bright red high heels. Bose brothers stare in frozen terror. As an 8th Circle Archmage, Lion's dignity would be shattered if he wore this. Lixil wholeheartedly agrees. They collectively panic, wondering how their usually well-dressed grandfather could have such catastrophically bad taste. Lixil reveals the terrible truth. The head maid, Sylvia, was the one keeping the patriarch's fashion sense in check. Without her, his true, terrible taste has been unleashed. Thinking fast, Lion hatches a plan. If it's a public event, the whole family should wear matching outfits. This will require a professional's touch, not his grandfather's. The scene shifts, and we find Lion at the smithy, looking every bit the benevolent young master. He's passing out his leftover cookies, which the children are absolutely ecstatic to receive. The kids happily devour the treats, their faces lighting up with joy. With everyone in a good mood, Lion asks the blacksmith's wife, Leah, for a favor. He wants to be introduced to the tailor who volunteered with them before. Lion recalls watching the man work, amazed by his incredible skill at turning scraps into perfect, custom-fit outfits for the children. As the kids fight over the last cookie, Leah looks hesitant. She says it's possible, but there's a slight complication. She looks troubled, finally telling Lion he'll just have to see for himself when he gets there. Following her directions, Lion finds himself in front of a rundown, almost haunted-looking building in a forgotten alley. The broken, swinging sign creaks ominously, revealing the shop's name, Boutique André. Lion trembles slightly, wondering if he's walked into a horror movie instead of a tailor's shop. He steps inside to a dark, dusty room filled with the silent, shadowy figures of mannequins. A gaunt, spooky-looking man with hollowed eyes emerges from the gloom to greet him. But the moment Lion is confirmed as a customer, the man's demeanor does a complete 180. He explodes into a sparkly, flamboyant welcome, overjoyed to have a visitor. The sudden burst of energy nearly sends Lion flying out the door. Andrew recognizes Lion from the orphanage, though he's confused by his blonde hair and purple eyes. Lion nervously explains he was disguised that day and reveals his true identity as the eldest grandson of the Astri family. Andrei graciously accepts this, saying he understands that nobles have their secrets. He then politely asks what brings someone of Lion's stature to his humble little shop. Lion gets straight to the point. He's looking for a skilled tailor, and he heard Andrei was the best. Andrei is shocked, believing a prestigious family like the Astries would have no use for a craftsman like him, but he welcomes Lion inside. Once inside, Lion is surprised to see shelves lined with prestigious awards, including the Empire's grand prize for tailoring. Andrei, however, is deeply embarrassed by his shop's shabby appearance, with its patched-up furniture and cluttered floors. He apologizes for his meager hospitality as he pours some tea into a chipped cup. Lion, ever the gentleman, says it's fine and offers Andrei a plate of his homemade cookies. Andrei remembers the divine bread Lion had previously donated and eagerly accepts. He picks up a cute, bear-shaped cookie, admiring the jam heart before taking a bite. The effect is instantaneous. Andrei is transported to a realm of pure culinary bliss. His mind is blown as the cookie's complex flavors explode on his palate. He envisions a story, a pure, innocent country boy, simple and sweet, who then transforms into a dashing crown prince, falling head over heels for a beautiful country girl. It's a flavor that races through the heart like a passionate first love. He holds the cookie, overcome with emotion. This isn't just a snack, it's a masterpiece. It's art. Lion watches with a satisfied smile, glad that his creation was so well received. Wiping a tear from his eye, Andrew declares that the cookie was so wonderful he feels completely revitalized. The taste has filled him with so much inspiration that he grabs his handkerchief, feeling quite faint. Moved by this incredible gift, he swears to answer Lion's request with complete and utter honesty. Lion confirms his mission. He needs Andrei to make clothes for him. Andrei's flamboyant demeanor vanishes, replaced by a somber gravity. He can certainly make the clothes, but he issues a dire warning. If anyone finds out he was the designer, Lion will be ruthlessly mocked by high society. Lion is confused. With skills that have won the Empire's highest award, why would Andrei's name bring shame? With a pained expression, Andrei clenches his fist. He confesses the source of his misfortune. He is the illegitimate child of a noble. Lion merely sips his tea, completely unimpressed. He's an archmage who's seen the rise and fall of empires. The petty squabbles of the nobility mean nothing to him. Setting his cup down decisively, Lion cuts through the drama. He tells Andrei that's all fine and good, but before anything else, he wants to see his craftsmanship for himself. Andrei explains that he got rid of all the clothes he used to sell to nobles, and now only has commoners' clothes left. But at Lion's insistence, he pulls back a curtain to reveal his remaining stock. Lion is stunned into silence, a blush creeping up his neck. The clothes are magnificent. A flurry of system windows pop up, confirming Lion's assessment. Each piece is rated as a 2-star, skilled tailor's ready-to-wear item. Lion is completely taken aback. Though they are just commoners' clothes, the craftsmanship is undeniable. This isn't just his opinion, the system confirms it. Multiple windows pop up, rating Andrei's ready-to-wear items with a respectable 2 stars. To achieve this rank with such basic fabric means the tailor's other skills are practically perfect. A light blush dusts Lion's cheeks as he examines the simple yet elegant garments. He can only imagine what this man could create if he were supplied with high-quality materials. Seeing his chance, Lion makes a bold declaration. He tells Andrei that for his coming-of-age ceremony, he wants to wear clothes made under Andrei's name. The tailor is floored. He protests that while it's an incredible opportunity, it will surely bring embarrassment and ridicule upon the young master. But Lion is resolute. Brushing aside Andrei's concerns, he holds up 3 fingers, stating his order, 3 outfits, ready by the ceremony. He asks simply if Andrei can do it. Andrei hesitates, the weight of the offer and the potential social fallout warring within him. This could be the chance of a lifetime, or it could ruin them both. Sensing his doubt, Lion smiles with an unshakable confidence that seems to light up the room. He assures Andrei that he will take full and complete responsibility for whatever happens. This is the final push Andrei needs. The thought of creating beautiful clothes with the finest fabrics, of showing off his talent without fear or restriction, is too alluring to resist. Overcome with emotion, Andrei tells the young master to just give the order. He eagerly asks Lion what kind of clothes he desires. Lion lists off a series of seemingly contradictory requests. The outfits must be clean yet elegant, have a sense of unity for the whole family, but be distinct for each person, and be neither old-fashioned nor too juvenile. Andrei sweats, furiously scribbling down the notes. But then, a horrifying thought strikes him. He asks with wide, fearful eyes if this means the patriarch himself will also be wearing an outfit of his design. Lion confirms this with a cheerful and completely unconcerned expression, asking if there's a problem. Andrei is struck silent. Lion is right. The Asteri family is a powerhouse, comparable to the imperial family. Who would possibly dare to mock them? With all his doubts finally erased, Andrei's resolve hardens. He vows to pour his entire being into crafting these outfits. His creative spirit now fully ablaze, he declares that a perfect design is already forming in his mind. He just needs one more thing. Does Lion have a specific fabric in mind? Lion admits he knows nothing about fabrics, but he came prepared. He pulls a large, ornate book from his satchel, presenting it as his family's fabric catalog. Andrei's hands tremble as he takes the book. He recognizes it immediately, his voice barely a whisper as he confirms its identity. He looks as if he's about to cry, confessing that this is the legendary fabric catalog of the Asteri family, a holy grail spoken of only in whispers among tailors. He says he could die happy just looking at it and reverently asked for permission to open it. With a small smile, Lion gives him the go-ahead, telling him to take his time. Andrei carefully handles the legendary tome. As he opens the cover, a brilliant golden light bursts forth, stunning him into silence. The pages reveal fabrics of myth and legend. There's elf's hair, a textile so fine it can only be woven by a select few elves. And fairy's breath, a cloth meticulously crafted with the help of mages and the magic of fairies. Andrei can't believe these materials, which he thought were just stories, actually exist. Frantically flipping through the book, Andrei is in heaven. When Lion asks if he's found anything he likes, the tailor exclaims that the problem is there isn't a single fabric he doesn't like. But his eyes suddenly fixate on one particular swatch, his excitement turning to sheer wonder. Lion leans in, curious. He asks why Andrei stopped on that specific page. The tailor explains that back in his heyday, a noble lady had favored this very fabric, but it was impossible to find on the market. He's fascinated to see it here, though the catalog has no written information about it. Lion inspects the plain-looking swatch himself, and of course, a system window pops up just for him. The fabric is a 3-star item called Archmage's Unconditional Love, a special yarn crafted by an archmage for his daughter, imbued with all sorts of protective magic. The pieces click into place in Lion's mind. An archmage for his daughter. This must be a creation of his own grandfather. Now more excited than ever, Lion declares that since they're making matching family outfits, they absolutely have to use this special, meaningful fabric. He asks Andri if it's possible. Andri enthusiastically agrees. He says they should start with the measurements right away. Just then, the door opens and Lixil walks in. He says he heard the news and was a bit delayed gathering some supplies for his brother's big project. Lion is a bit confused. Supplies? What could Lixil possibly have brought? Suddenly, a commotion from outside draws their attention. Both Lion and Andri peek out, wondering what all the noise is about. They're greeted by an unbelievable sight. Lixil didn't just bring supplies. He brought an entire caravan's worth of the highest quality tailoring equipment and materials, effectively setting up a state-of-the-art workshop on Andri's lawn. There are brand new, top-of-the-line sewing machines, pristine mannequins, and bolts of luxurious fabric. Lixil explains calmly that for his brother's one and only coming-of-age ceremony, this level of support is a given. Lion turns to Andri and asks if all this new equipment is okay, acknowledging that the tailor might be more comfortable with his own well-worn tools. Andri looks at Lion, his face a picture of stunned silence. A moment later, he bursts into tears of pure joy, begging to swap out every last one of his old, patched-up tools for this glorious new equipment. And just like that, Boutique Andri gets a massive upgrade. Sometime later, the work is underway. The boutique is now a proper high-class establishment. With his measurements taken, Lion stands with his brother and a re-energized Andri. The tailor vows to create a masterpiece, but Lion just tells him to relax. However, Lion isn't quite done. He smiles and says there's one more small favor he'd like to ask. He asks if Andri would be willing to teach him some tailoring skills. The request leaves both Lixil and Andri completely speechless and confused. Andri waves his hands frantically, protesting that he couldn't possibly dare to teach the young master. He warns Lion about the dangers of pricked fingers and sewing machine accidents. Lion remains unconcerned. He assures the flustered tailor that it's fine, he just wants to learn the basics to get a feel for the craft. Andri, now in full professional mode, asks Lion his reason for this sudden interest. Lion explains with sincerity that after witnessing Andri's incredible passion and skill, he wants to be able to truly understand and appreciate the hard work that goes into the final product. The tailor is visibly moved by Lion's profound respect for his craft. To think a noble would go to such lengths to appreciate a creator's intent. His heart swelling with pride, Andri agrees. He explains that every stitch, every cut, and every pattern carries the creator's intention, and he would be honored to teach Lion everything he knows. Andri decides to take Lixil's measurements first, giving Lion permission to look around the new workshop and try things out to his heart's content, as the sun begins to set. Left to his own devices, Lion wanders through the workshop, still marveling at the quality of Andri's ready-made clothes. He comes across one of Andri's old patterns for cotton pants. The system notes that the fabric is poor and threads are loose, making Lion wonder again how Andri managed to create 2-star items from such subpar materials. Holding up the simple pattern, Lion decides to give it a try himself. However, he feels it would be wrong to use a convenient sewing machine without understanding the fundamentals. He decides to start from the very beginning, hand sewing. A sly grin spreads across his face as he remembers the perfect tool for the job. He pulls out the artisan's repair kit he received as a bonus item from the magic shop. It's a magical tool that can repair almost anything perfect for a beginner's practice session. He pulls out a needle and thread, a mischievous look on his face as he prepares to use the legendary item for the first time. As he activates the tool, the needle begins to glow with a faint blue light. The eye of the needle magically expands, making it incredibly easy to thread. Lion's eyes go wide with childlike wonder. A magical tool that threads itself. He's absolutely delighted. He settles down at a desk and begins to sew. To his surprise, he finds the meticulous work isn't frustrating at all. In fact, it's actually fun. He'd expected to be annoyed by the tiny, repetitive motions, but instead he finds the process incredibly calming and meditative. As his focus deepens, something amazing happens. A glowing blue guideline appears on the fabric, showing him exactly where to stitch for a perfect seam. With the help of the magical tool, he's making surprisingly quick progress, and a system window alerts him that the pants are already 80% complete. He holds up his work to inspect it, quite pleased with his first attempt. But just as he's getting confident, he yelps as the needle pricks his finger. Just then, Lixil and Andri return. Lixil notices his brother's intense focus and smiles warmly, saying he didn't want to interrupt. Andri, however, is fixated on the piece of fabric in Lion's hands. He's amazed that Lion's first attempt was done entirely by hand. He takes the half-finished pants and examines the stitching with a critical eye. He declares that while it's still crooked, for a first-timer, the skill shown is nothing short of excellent. And then, something about Lion's amateur hand-stitching triggers a massive epiphany. Andrew begins to panic, realizing he'd forgotten something vital in his years of making ready-to-wear clothes. With a fiery aura of inspiration erupting around him, he remembers the absolute foundation of high-end, custom formal wear, meticulous hand-sewing. Lixil and Lion can only watch as Andre dives headfirst into his creative zone, manically sketching and muttering about focal points and elegant lines. Lixil sighs, noting that his brother seems to have this effect on people. Seeing that Andre is lost in his own world of fashion, Lion smiles and suggests to Lixil that they should probably head back home for now. Lixil's expression turns serious as he agrees. After all, they have a dinner appointment they can't miss, with the patriarch himself. Back at the Astri estate, a butler reports to the head of the house. It's none other than Lion's grandfather, the powerful patriarch busy at work in his study. He and his aide make their way to the grand halls, with the aide announcing that the young masters have arrived for dinner. The aide remarks that it's quite rare for the three of them to dine together. The patriarch grunts in agreement, saying that moments like this are necessary and that he doesn't work for fun. He only toils away endlessly to protect his grandsons, but he bitterly complains about the imperial family who still works him to the bone, even 50 years after the Demon War. He wonders aloud how much longer he has to live, wishing only to spend time with his grandsons. His aide tries to reassure him, reminding him that an 8th circle mage has a lifespan comparable to an elf. Shaking off the grim thoughts, the patriarch declares that as the head of the family, he cannot be absent for this rare gathering. With an announcement from the staff, the patriarch makes his grand entrance into the dining hall. His stern expression softens as he thinks about his grandsons, the precious treasures his late daughter left behind. However, a darker thought follows. In order to live peacefully with them, he must ensure that no one ever discovers Lion's true potential. Before them is a lavish feast, a dazzling spread of meticulously prepared dishes. Lion sweats, thinking this is a bit overboard for a simple family dinner. Lixil explains with a slight smirk that since it's been a long time since they all gathered, he made a special request to the chef. Lion is struck by a sad realization. He remembers his own past, where he was either too sick to eat or forced down bland food. His grandfather, on the other hand, was always busy with state affairs and usually dined at the imperial palace. This means that all this time, in this huge, opulent dining hall, Lixil must have been eating all by himself. A wave of sympathy washes over Lion as he looks at his brother, imagining the profound loneliness he must have endured. Lixil, catching his eye, just smiles and says they should have days like this more often. Lion's heart aches for his brother, thinking about how difficult it must have been for him to shoulder everything alone. He clenches his fist under the table, making a new resolution. For Lixil's sake, he must convince the patriarch to spend more time with them as a family. He gives his brother a reassuring look, vowing that Lixil won't have to eat alone ever again. The patriarch takes his seat, and with a simple command to eat, the tense family dinner begins. The two brothers look on anxiously as their grandfather, the most powerful man in the empire, settles in. The only sounds are the clinking of silverware as they all begin to eat. The patriarch finally breaks the silence, but not with the warm family chat Lion was hoping for. He formally asks Lixil for a progress report on an assigned task. Lixil replies just as formally, assuring his grandfather that everything is being handled and there will be no shortcomings. The tense, awkward silence returns, hanging heavy in the air. Lion grows nervous. This is definitely not the warm family atmosphere he wanted to create. He realizes he has to be the one to change the topic. Gathering his courage, he speaks up, addressing his grandfather directly. He cuts right to the chase, asking if the patriarch ever crafted fabric specifically for his mother. The sudden taboo question shocks both Lixil and his grandfather. The patriarch takes a long sip of wine, his expression hardening as he claims to have no idea what Lion is talking about. But Lion isn't fazed. He knows talking about his mother is a sore spot for the old man. He calmly explains that he met a tailor that day and happened to find a very unique fabric stored in their family's estate. He turns to Lixil for confirmation, who nervously agrees that he remembers the exceptionally sparkling fabric Lion is talking about. Lion recounts the tailor's story, how a certain young lady had adored an identical fabric in the past. He explains his simple deduction. Since the fabric was stored here in their home, he just assumed the young lady in the story was his mother. The patriarch's stern facade remains, but his eyes betray a flicker of emotion as he quietly acknowledges Lion's reasoning. Lion knows that the topic of their mother was probably the one subject the family wanted to avoid the most. But he believes they can't just bury the past and look the other way forever. He thinks to himself that the only way for them to truly comfort each other is to talk openly about the people they've lost. He resolves to use this opportunity to start a genuine conversation. His heartfelt intentions finally break through the old man's defenses. The patriarch's mouth opens. In a quiet voice, he admits that Lion was right. He was the one who crafted that fabric. The confession leaves both brothers speechless. Lion gently asks him for his reason. The patriarch looks away, lost in memory. He says there was no grand reason, just the natural worry a father has for his only daughter. He recalls how he constantly worried she might trip and get hurt, or that harsh weather might ruin her delicate skin. So, he took the finest magical fleece, imbued every single strand with powerful protective spells, and had it woven into a cloth, a physical manifestation of his unconditional love for his child. He seems genuinely surprised to hear that the fabric he created so long ago is still around. Lixil listens, finally learning a small piece of the story of the mother he never knew. Patriarch realizes that in his own grief, he had neglected his grandsons and made them lonely. Seizing the moment, Lion announces his plan to use that precious fabric to make matching formal wear for the three of them. He then asks when his grandfather will be free for a fitting. The patriarch freezes mid-sip, clearly not expecting this. He sputters, asking if the outfits weren't just for the two boys. Lion explains that of course their grandfather must have one too. Lixil also chimes in, suggesting they invite the tailor to the estate to accommodate the patriarch's busy schedule. Caught in his grandson's flawless pincer movement, the patriarch lets out a huff of resignation and agrees to follow Lion's lead in the matter. Lion is ecstatic. Not only is he succeeding in his plan to bring the family together, but he's also preventing his grandfather's questionable fashion sense from ruining their coordinated look. After that breakthrough dinner, the preparations for the ceremony proceeded smoothly. Andrew began making regular visits to the estate, and the formal wear started taking shape. Even the formidable patriarch had to stand still while the tearfully reverent tailor took his measurements. Meanwhile, Lixil and the maids handled all the estate decorations, ensuring everything would be perfect for the big day. With the full, unwavering support of his grandfather and Lixil, who told him not to worry about a thing, especially money, Lion suddenly found himself with a lot of free time on his hands. He decided to use that time productively, pouring all his focus into learning the art of tailoring. Days pass, and we find Lion sitting in his room, meticulously practicing his hand sewing. But as he works, a sense of unease creeps in. He's been at this for a while, and by his own standards, he feels like he should have gotten some kind of system notification by now. Indeed, a window had popped up earlier, confirming he'd unlocked the tailoring talent and even reached apprentice level 1 proficiency. He smooths out the simple shirt he's been making. He thinks the quality is quite good, especially considering he did it all from scratch without a sewing machine. So why hasn't the talent unlocked in the same spectacular way his others have? He just can't figure it out. Then, a truly dreadful possibility crosses his mind. Don't tell me, am I actually just talentless at this? He spirals into a panic, his face a mask of horror at the thought of being average at something. He tries to reason with himself, arguing that if he lacked talent in anything, it would surely be cooking. So what's the difference between tailoring and his other skills? Is it his tools? Does he need a mentor like Elvia or Mudu? But then, alchemy was more about the tools. He grabs his head in frustration, completely stumped. Just as he's about to scream, his frantic thoughts are interrupted by the soft voice of his maid, Elvia. She announces that Andrew the tailor has arrived. Lion's mood lifts slightly. He asks if the outfits are finally finished. Elvia hesitates, a bead of sweat on her brow. She confirms that the formal wear appears to be complete. But, she says, it looked as though something went terribly wrong. Lion wastes no time and heads straight for the reception room, wondering what could have Andrei so rattled. He pushes open the grand doors, not sure what to expect, and what he sees leaves him completely speechless. The entire reception room has been transformed into a full-blown high-end tailor shop. There are mannequins, sewing machines, bolts of fabric, everything. He's just stunned, wondering how Andrew possibly managed to haul all of this here by himself. He spots the tailor and pulls himself together, greeting him with a smile. Andrew proudly presents the finished formal wear and asks Lion if he wants to try it on. Lion slips into the crisp jacket. It fits like a glove. The craftsmanship is absolutely incredible. A system window confirms it. This is a 3-star high-end suit, a rare masterpiece made from the finest fabrics. But as amazing as the suit is, Lion notices Andrew doesn't look very happy. He asks him what's wrong. Andrew insists that the suit itself is beautiful, but he admits that something is still bothering him. Just then, another system window pops up. It says Lion has obtained high-quality clothing, but he can't wear it to the party just yet. A new quest appears. It seems something is missing from the outfit, and Lion has to figure out what it is to ease Andrew's worries. Lion stares at his reflection, trying to pinpoint what could possibly be missing from this perfect suit, and then it hits him. His neck feels empty. Andrew looks ecstatic that the young master figured it out. The tailor explains that while the outfit is technically complete, it's missing a focal point. There's no necktie, no bow tie, not even a pocket square. Lion touches his chin thoughtfully. Right, he has to consider details like that in this world. It's a whole different ballgame. He starts picturing the three of them. His grandfather would suit a dignified necktie, and a bow tie would be perfect for Lixil's youthful look. Seeing Lion deep in thought, Andrew gets a nervous look on his face and asks if he could do him a favor. He then makes a shocking request. He wants Lion to be the one to finish the family's outfits, even suggesting he add embroidery. Lion is completely taken aback. Him? Finish the work of a master? Andri promises to teach him everything he needs to know. Lion hesitates, saying it would be disrespectful to alter a master's work. He asks Andri why he's so insistent, even knowing the risk to his reputation. Andri's expression turns serious as he begins to explain. He tells Lion that when he was measuring the patriarch, he learned a surprising fact. The young lady he used to make clothes for was none other than Lion's mother. In a quiet moment, the powerful patriarch had actually thanked Andri for his work all those years ago. Andri says he realized it then. He understood just how much making clothes for the ones you love means to the old man. His voice is filled with emotion as he explains his logic. The patriarch poured his love for his children into every fiber of that magical fabric. So, he continues, the finishing touches simply must come from Lion's hands. This outfit needs something that even a master tailor can't provide. It needs a son's love and care. Andri smiles, admitting that as a craftsman, this isn't an easy choice. But he knows that making good clothes isn't just about technical skill. Lion is deeply moved. He understands the immense consideration Andri is showing his family. He clenches his fist, filled with new resolve, and agrees to do it. Andri is thrilled and gestures for him to sit down so they can start designing. But Lion surprises him, saying he already has an idea. He takes a seat at the desk, pencil in hand. He quickly sketches out his vision. A sophisticated, dignified necktie and a sharp, youthful bow tie. Andri immediately gets it. Lion explains that his goal is to highlight Lixil as the successor of the house this time around. Excellent, Andri beams. A perfect concept. The tailor then asks what kind of design Lion has in mind for himself. Lion decides to put his own design on the back burner for now. He'll figure it out after he's done with his brothers and grandfathers. With the design settled, Andri starts the lesson. He explains the anatomy of a necktie, pointing out the different parts are called the bar tack, the small sword, and the great sword. Lion can't help but chuckle. They're all named after swords? Andri gets a little flustered, so Lion jokingly warns him not to mention it to his grandfather, who isn't on the best terms with swordsmanship families. Our boy is a quick study. He asks if they need to use interlining to stiffen the fabric. Andri is impressed, but says it's not necessary for this project. He lays out a pristine piece of silk. The quality is so high that it holds its shape perfectly just by being pressed. Alright, lesson time is over. Andri enthusiastically announces it's time to begin. A short while later, Lion presents his first attempt, and the result is an overly ambitious necktie. The system window brutally states that the maker's skill falls way short of the material's quality. Andri forces a pained smile, trying to be encouraging. Sweating a little, Andri suggests they move on to the embroidery portion of the lesson. Lion's mood brightens instantly. Yes, he has the perfect idea. He wants to incorporate their family's crest. He thinks of the crest as more than just a symbol. He sketches a design of leaves connected to a single branch, a visual representation of his family, forever connected. Andri is touched by the profound meaning behind the design. He explains that the key to great embroidery is texture, which can only be achieved through practice, practice, and practice. Lion's eyes gleam with determination. He tells Andri to give him 3 days. He'll have everything perfect by then. Andri doesn't doubt him for a second. He places his full trust in the young master. A few days pass. Lion is completely absorbed in his work, so much so that he pricks his finger with the needle. He's been sewing like a madman, pricking his fingers over and over, but his results are still mediocre. Just a common neckties with nothing special about it. The description is blunt. It's plain. The embroidery isn't special either. He's gone through all of Andri's practice patterns and even started making his own. He also made a conscious choice not to use his magic repair kit. He figured his skills would never truly improve if he relied on the system's guidelines. His next attempt is slightly better, a slightly common necktie, but the system notes it's stained with an amateur's blood. He slumps over the desk in exhaustion. This is way harder than he thought. His shoulders ache, his eyes burn, and for a moment he's tempted to just settle for what he has. But then he straightens his back, his expression hardening. He grabs the fabric, his resolve renewed. He will not give up. He's finally starting to get the hang of the speed and rhythm. As he clenches the fabric, a golden light begins to shine from his hands. And then, it happens. A massive system window explodes into view. A new talent has blossomed from his relentless effort to find happiness even in agonizing pain. He has finally unlocked the tailor talent. His proficiency immediately hits apprentice level 1, and he's absolutely beaming. Now that the talent is unlocked, his progress skyrockets. He hits level 2, unlocking an achievement, and then immediately reaches level 3. And with this breakthrough, he has a massive epiphany about how his powers work. He realizes that awakening a crafting talent isn't just about practice. The key is how desperately he needs the item he's trying to make. He remembers when his blacksmith talent blossomed. At that moment, he desperately needed a sickle and hoe to gather herbs for his life-saving potions. And when his cooking talent awakened, he was driven by the need to make bread and snacks. With tailoring, he was just practicing for the sake of it, without that same desperate need. But now he knows what he needs to create. the perfect accessory to complete his family's outfits. He thinks it's a good thing he didn't rely on his magic kit. Now, he can create something amazing without any guide. With his awakened talent, he finishes a necktie in a flash. The system rates it as a high-quality necktie, noting that his skill has finally caught up to the premium materials. But that's not all. A second window pops up. The necktie's value has increased thanks to his artisan's touch skill. Lion is ecstatic. His special skill finally triggered. Now, it's time for the final touch. With a glowing needle, he begins to embroider his family crest onto the tie, pouring all of his feelings into every stitch. The result is a breathtaking, 3-star, top-tier necktie. The system declares that what could have been an ordinary design has become a masterpiece thanks to the exquisite embroidery. More system windows pop up, calling it an unbelievable piece and a work of art he can be proud of anywhere. With reverence, he places the magnificent necktie on the suit jacket, and the system goes wild. The two matching pieces evolve into a single set, and the synergy effect adds another star to its rating. He did it! The final result is a dazzling 4-star high-end suit set. The system says wearing it will command elegance and authority, ensuring no one will ever dare look down on him. His very first 4-star item. But it gets even crazier. The set has bonus effects. It maintains his body temperature, makes him immune to moderate impacts, and keeps the Astery family aura active at all times. He checks his achievements and sees he's 1/3 of the way to becoming a great tailor. He figures if he just makes 2 more amazing outfits for Lixil and himself, he'll clear the achievement in no time. So, he calms himself down and gets to work on his brother's bow tie. With his newly awakened talent, crafting is a breeze. He finishes Lixil's bow tie, places it on the suit, and boom, another set effect activates, marking the second step of his achievement complete. Alright, that's 2 down, 1 to go. Now he just has to figure out his own. He can't go too casual or it will hurt the family's image. And since he's the star of the show, he can't just skip wearing a tie altogether. He needs something that will not clash with his grandfather's necktie or Lixil's bow tie. And then it hits him. He will make a stick tie, a shorter style held together with a jewel in the middle. The key to this design will be the jewel, so he starts searching through his grandfather's collection. He rifles through the box, looking for the perfect one, and then he finds it, a brilliant purple jewel that looks just like their family's eyes. This will be the perfect centerpiece. He attaches the jewel, and it looks incredible. With the third and final outfit complete, he clears the Great Tailor achievement, earning a whopping 15,000 shillings. But wait, there's more. The system says he achieved an impossible feat for his skill level and gives him a bonus of 10,000 shillings. And with over 100,000 shillings in his pocket, the shilling shop is finally unlocked. He is over the moon. Not only did he get a massive payday, but he can finally buy things from the system shop. He is so hyped to check out the shop right now, but just as he is about to, Lixil bursts into the room. And he does not look happy. He scolds Lion, saying the coming-of-age ceremony is tomorrow and he is still up sewing. He heard Lion has been pulling all-nighters for 3 days straight and warns him he is going to collapse before the ceremony even starts. Lixil orders him to bed, and before Lion can even protest, the maid swoops in and Fireman carries him away. He is screaming in protest. The shilling shop just opened and he cannot even get a peek. The next morning, it is the day of the big party. Lion is all dressed up in his new suit, ready for his coming-of-age ceremony. His maid compliments him, saying he looks very handsome and that the tie suits him especially well. Lion is relieved. He is glad all his hard work paid off and that Andre was satisfied with the final product. She looks at him with a sense of pride. She thinks about how fast time flies. The sickly little boy is finally having his coming-of-age ceremony, something she once thought might never happen. Just then, Lixil walks up, asking if his brother slept well. Lion is happy to see him, asking if Lixil was waiting for him. Lixil confirms it. From now on, he will be Lion's escort. Because today is the day. The party is absolutely massive, filled with nobles from all over the empire. The decor is so lavish, it lives up to the Astery family name. The guests are all buzzing. One comments that this party is even more glamorous than an imperial banquet. Others are gossiping about the family, noting that the rumors about Marquis Patrick and his eldest son being on bad terms must have been false. Suddenly, the announcer calls out, "Marquis Astery and the young masters are entering!" The Marquis looks as majestic as ever, followed by his successor, Lixil Astery, and behind him is today's main character, Lion Astery. He walks in with a newfound confidence, a total transformation from the sickly boy everyone remembers. The crowd starts whispering. Some are unimpressed, saying he does not look as majestic as they thought and that he cannot compare to Lixil. The Marquis turns to Lion. He points out a group of people and warns Lion not to associate with them, calling them bad quality. Lion cheekily asks if his grandfather is worried about him. The Marquis just huffs and tells him to be aware of his surroundings and prepare himself to announce the start of the party. Lion reassures him with a smile, promising not to bring any shame to the family name. He takes his place at the front and addresses the crowd, introducing himself as Lion Astery, finally reaching adulthood. Lixil looks on, completely stunned. Did his brother always have such a trustworthy impression? He thanks everyone for coming to celebrate with him. The guests start murmuring again. One asks her friend if she feels it too, that Lion somehow draws your attention. Her friend agrees. She says he looks ordinary, but there is something special about his clothes. They realize the clothes have a simple yet glamorous feel, and that they seem to elevate the person wearing them. They wonder which famous designer could have made them, since all the usual high-end tailors turned down the job. The Marquis muses that the boy used his brain a bit. He wonders if Lion calculated everything up to this point. Lion finishes his speech, inviting everyone to relax and enjoy the party. He wishes them all a wonderful time, and the crowd bursts into applause. After the speech, Lixil rushes over, telling his brother he was truly amazing. He asks when Lion had time to prepare and practice such a great speech. Lion just laughs it off, saying he just kept it simple. He mentally chalks it up to his years of corporate experience in his past life. The Marquis looks on, proud of both his grandsons. He praises Lion for showing such dignity even without mana or an aura. With the formalities over, the Marquis tells them to go enjoy the banquet. The party gets into full swing, with delicious food and a live orchestra. The three of them sit down to eat at a private table, enjoying the fruits of their hard work. As they eat, the Marquis brings up the labyrinth rite. He asks Lion if he has decided what item he's going to bring. Depending on the item, the rewards you get from the rite can be completely different. For example, mages who bring a grimoire gain new knowledge, while those with a staff learn new offensive magic. But since Lion is not a mage, his outcome is a total unknown. Lion smiles and says he has already decided. He is planning to bring the potion he made. The Marquis approves of Lion's choice to bring a potion, saying the labyrinth will grant him knowledge suited to his abilities anyway. With that settled, the Marquis gets serious. He asks Lion straight up if he has any interest in politics or becoming the heir. The Marquis is shocked when Lion answers immediately without any hesitation. Lion frantically denies it, waving his arms and insisting he has zero interest whatsoever. He says he always believed Lixil would be the one to lead the family. Lixil is visibly moved by his brother's faith in him. Seizing the moment, the Marquis turns to Lixil. He asks him to swear an oath to cherish his brother as if he were his own life. Lixil solemnly swears upon the honor of their family and his mana. The Marquis is incredibly relieved. The succession issue he was worried about most has just been solved. He then gives his grandsons a quick rundown of politics. He explains the current threats to their family. The greatest threats are the imperial family and House Videntis. The royals are busy with their own succession dispute, so they are not an immediate problem. The real issue is House Videntis, a family of swordsmen with a dark history. Their succession right is just a fancy term for a brutal free-for-all. The winner is the last one standing after slaying their own kin. The Marquis tells them to steer clear of that house if possible. He then turns back to Lion, satisfied with his decision to stay out of the heir race. He tells Lion to live freely as an Astery and do whatever he wants. Lion cheekily asks what happens if he causes trouble. The Marquis says that is fine, but if Lion gets himself hurt, he will not be let off the hook. His threatening glare makes it clear what he means. He would probably kill Lion himself before anyone else got the chance. Lion quickly agrees to be careful. With business out of the way, the party is back in full swing. While the Marquis and Lixil handle the schmoozing, Lion knows he has his own work to do. He is here to be a walking advertisement for Andre's boutique. It does not take long for a curious noble lady to ask about his incredible suit, and where one goes, others follow. Soon he is surrounded by a crowd of potential customers. The 4-star rating on his clothes is definitely drawing a lot of attention, but then he tells them that there's a problem. He says the tailor is an illegitimate child who was disowned for selling clothes to commoners. The snooty noble starts murmuring that in these days who rejects a tailor over something like that? He plays it smart, telling the crowd he can introduce them, but he understands if they would rather not associate with someone like Andre. The guests quickly reassure him. They do not care about the tailor's background, they just want his amazing clothes. Seeing his chance, Lion makes the grand announcement. He reveals the tailor is Andre, now under the protection of House Astery, with a boutique in their fief. The crowd erupts. They had all been wondering where the talented designer had disappeared to. Lion then applies some classic sales pressure. He casually mentions that he heard there are only 3 reservation slots left for the day. The nobles start to panic, but before they can make a move, the crowd parts. A woman with an intense aura walks towards him. It is Clarentia Videntis, the head of the infamous swordsmanship house. Everyone holds their breath as she asks if the tailor can fulfill any kind of order. Lion, ever the professional, confirms that he can. He internally celebrates landing an order from such a big name. Clarentia's request is simple. She wants training clothes and comfortable everyday wear. But then she adds a chilling detail. The clothes she used to have can no longer be worn. A wave of fear washes over the onlookers. The implication is terrifying. Her old clothes are probably covered in the blood of her own family. One by one, the nobles make pathetic excuses and flee the scene. Within moments, Lion is left standing alone with the most feared woman in the empire. He gets why they are scared. The rumors about her are no joke. But hey, a customer is a customer. He flips on his salesperson mode. He smoothly confirms her order and says they can handle the deposit after the party. Clarentia simply nods and leaves. That was easier than expected. With the scary customer gone, Lion turns his attention back to the others. He opens up a waiting list for Andre's shop, and it fills up in a flash. He has collected a massive book of orders. Andrew is going to be ecstatic. Just then, a maid arrives. It is time. The patriarch has announced that the labyrinth rite is ready. Lion heads to the trial chamber, where a massive set of doors awaits him. The two imperial princes, Terrace and Kyle, are also there to spectate. Terrace, the first prince, tries to taunt Lion, asking if he is nervous. It is a low blow, since he knows Lion has no magic. Lion just brushes it off with a forced smile. But Lixil immediately steps in, getting in the prince's face to defend his brother. The two have a silent stare-down. Lion notes that Lixil really dislikes the first prince. The prince eventually backs off, and Lixil gives Lion the potion he requested for the trial. With his bag and his potion, Lion approaches the entrance. This place used to be his sanctuary. As a talentless child, he would hide here and read for hours. He also knows the labyrinth holds a legendary treasure left behind by the first patriarch of Astery Kingdom. Maid brings him a ceremonial dagger on a pillow. He pricks his finger, letting a single drop of blood fall to the floor. The moment it lands, a huge magic circle flares to life, and the whole chamber starts to shake. The guests look on in shock. Just opening the door is causing a massive magical reaction. As the doors swing open, a powerful force grabs hold of Lion. He is completely helpless as he is dragged off his feet and pulled into the dark void. The Astery family's labyrinth is a unique place. Depending on its will, it can be cleared without any trials at all. But if someone gets greedy, it becomes an inescapable dungeon. The moment Lion's blood touches the floor, the whole chamber begins to shake violently. The guests look on in shock, wondering what's happening. Even Lion is confused. He shouts, asking if the library is supposed to open like this. He feels a powerful, unseen force grab him. Dark, shadowy tendrils wrap around his body, dragging him off his feet. He is completely helpless as he's pulled into the dark void beyond the doors. His family can only watch in horror, screaming his name as he disappears. Lion finds himself floating in a dark, starry expanse. Suddenly, a series of notifications pop up in front of him. He's unlocked the Labyrinth of Books achievement and gained authorization to read everything inside. His intelligence and max mana are both permanently increased by 10, and just like that, a high-purity mana circle forms within him. The boy who had zero magic is now officially a mage. But back in the real world, things have gone from bad to worse. The magical backlash from the labyrinth opening is tearing the estate apart. The guests are screaming and running for their lives as the building crumbles around them. A massive, ornate chandelier breaks free from the ceiling, plummeting towards a terrified noblewoman. But just before it hits, a golden hexagonal barrier flashes into existence, stopping it cold. The guests look up in relief, realizing what's happened. Lord Patrick Astery is protecting them. The protective barrier extends across the entire estate, safeguarding everyone from the destruction. The Marquis stands calmly amidst the chaos, his power on full display. He orders his knight, Rixon, to evacuate the guests while he handles the situation. Lixil rushes to his grandfather's side, demanding to know what's going on. The Marquis gravely informs him that the library has gone out of control. With the guests and royals accounted for, the Marquis turns his attention to Lixil. He orders him to see to the injured and prepare a resting area for everyone. The Marquis himself will stay behind to guard the entrance to the labyrinth. Lixil is horrified. He begs to stay, arguing that it's far too dangerous for his grandfather to handle alone. But the Marquis is firm. He puts a hand on Lixil's shoulder and tells him no. As the next head of the family, Lixil has a duty to the guests. The princes approach, adding their own warnings about the danger. The Marquis just scoffs, asking if they really think something like this could threaten him. He sternly orders Lixil to go, now. Lixil hesitates, looking back at his grandfather with immense worry. Seeing there's no changing his mind, Lixil finally turns to leave with the princes. As they walk away, he can only mutter his brother's name in despair. The Marquis watches them go, his expression grim. The labyrinth is incredibly unstable. He's worried that if he's not careful, Lixil could get caught up in this too. Suddenly, a calm voice cuts through the noise. It's Clarentia Videntis, who for some reason chose not to evacuate with the others. The Marquis asks her why she stayed behind. She observes that he sounds completely certain his grandson is alive, as if he already knows how this ends. The Marquis doesn't answer. To his surprise, she then offers to assist him. He's suspicious. It would be far more beneficial for House Videntis if the Asteries were weakened. Clarentia's reasoning is simple and very in character. She says she commissioned Lion to make her clothes, and she hates it when her plans fall apart. Just then, the head maid Elvia appears out of the shadows. She notes Clarentia's remarkable insight, and Marquis agrees with a smirk. He gives Elvia an order, put up a barrier around the labyrinth. He's determined that absolutely no information about this incident can be allowed to leak outside. He then pulls out a golden pocket watch, a powerful artifact. His plan is to restore the labyrinth's exterior, hoping to stabilize it just enough to create an opening for Lion to escape. Meanwhile, Lion is having a much better time. He's humming to himself, relaxing in a beautiful sunny field of flowers. He's completely oblivious to the chaos his trial has caused. A notification pops up, informing him that he's unlocked the Labyrinth of Books achievement. That means he's cleared the trial, but he has absolutely no idea how. He was just dragged in here, and now he's chilling in a field. He sits up, trying to get his bearings. He recognizes this place from the game. This is the reward collection area. But how does he actually collect the reward? A prompt appears, asking if he wants to shatter the dungeon's illusion. In the game, all he had to do was click yes, but this is reality. He remembers that the original Lion used to come and go from this place without any trouble, so what's different now? He wonders if it's because his mana increased, but that doesn't make sense. His mana only went up by 1. His grandfather and brother have immense mana, and they can't just stroll in here. If anyone could enter this easily, the Marquis would never have hidden his greatest treasure here. Then, a wild thought strikes him. Could this have something to do with the fact that he's possessing Lion's body? He thinks back to what his grandfather said about this place. The Marquis hid a treasure here 50 years ago, after the Great War against the demons. He fought alongside the legendary hero, who famously disappeared without a trace after the war ended. A jolt of realization hits him. The Demon War is the exact setting of the game he was playing. In the game, the player takes on the role of the hero to save the world. It's a huge leap in logic, but he has to consider it. What if the treasure his grandfather left here belonged to the hero? And if the player is the hero, then isn't the treasure just his main account's gear? That would explain everything. The system isn't seeing this as a trial, but as him simply retrieving a stored item. Well, whatever the reason, he can't just sit here in this pretty field forever. He gets to his feet, ready to find a way out. The problem is, his new mana circle is only at the first level. He can't break through high-level illusion magic like this. His only option is to find a physical weak point and force his way through. He starts walking through the field, looking for anything out of place. As he walks, he notices something about the flowers. A system notification pops up for a rare, pure white flower. According to the description, it can only bloom 1 per zone, and it can't grow near yellow flowers or purple weeds. Then he sees the other flowers. A rare yellow one and an uncommon purple weed. They all have the same restriction. They're supposed to grow alone. But here they are, all mixed together in the same field. This means 2 things. First, this area is subdivided into smaller zones. And second, the plants were put here artificially. It's a man-made puzzle, not a natural field. If he can find a spot where the planting rules are broken, that has to be the key. The most obvious place to start is a spot where all 3 types are clustered together. He approaches the area, but then stops himself. He needs a better way to see what's going on. He closes his eyes and focuses inward, searching for his newfound power. He can feel the rhythm of his own heartbeat, and he sinks his consciousness deeper into his body. There it is, an intricate, glowing pattern in his chest, his very own mana circle. It's a fascinating sight, but he doesn't have time to admire it. 2 notifications confirm he successfully synced with his mana circle and can now check its data. Alright, time to focus. He channels his mana, attempting to make its flow visible to his eyes. The world around him shifts into a deep blue as his skill, Expert's Eye, activates. A system window informs him that using mana has enhanced the skill for a short duration. He has exactly 10 minutes and 30 seconds. With his enhanced vision, the world is now overlaid with glowing threads of mana. He looks back at the cluster of 3 flowers and sees a chaotic mess of red energy. Whoa, he almost walked right into a trap. That spot either has no mana threads at all, or it triggers some nasty magic if you touch it wrong. Either way, the exit isn't there. He needs to keep looking. He follows a path where the mana flows in a more orderly fashion. The enhanced Expert's Eye suddenly reveals a hidden name for the zone he's in. A vibrant, glowing stream of mana leads him to a specific patch of purple weeds. The system identifies it as the source of the illusionary mana thread. He kneels down. It seems he'll have to dig to check it out. But first, he needs a tool to get rid of this powerful mana thread. He opens his system menu and pulls up the shilling shop. A message pops up. Since his assets now exceed 100,000 shillings, all items are available. Confetti bursts from the screen as the shilling shop officially opens. His current purchasing tier is bronze. He notices a new tab has appeared, Survival. That seems like the most useful category right now, so he opens it up. The first item is an emergency escape chair that costs over 3 million shillings. Next is an old key that can unlock literally anything for a cool 1,000,000 shillings and only a 20% success rate. He grumbles at the ridiculous scam items. What's the point of showing him things he can't possibly afford? He wonders if there's a filter function. The system asks if he'd like to apply a filter. Perfect. He asks the shop to show him items under 120,000 shillings, sorted by lowest price, including discounts. The shop reloads, displaying a much more manageable list. He's a little disappointed to see it's mostly random stuff like magic seasoning and beast feed. But then 2 items catch his eye, a magic detector and a pair of sharp scissors. The detector costs 110,000 shillings, which is most of his money. It's tempting, but the scissors are a much better deal. They're normally almost 1,000,000 shillings, but his first purchase gets a 99% discount, bringing them down to just 9,900. Plus, their ability to snip anything without a soul is exactly what he needs to cut this mana thread. Decision made. He hits the purchase button. The item is successfully purchased and permanently bound to him. He'd been saving up his shillings so carefully, and just like that, a chunk of it is gone. Still, a permanently bound item is a great deal. A simple pair of scissors materializes in his hands. Now, let's get to work. He turns back to the glowing mana thread, scissors in hand. All that grinding and crafting he did every day has really paid off. Now digging is a piece of cake. Suddenly, a red warning flashes. He only has 1 minute left on his skill enhancement. He panics. It's been that long already? He digs faster, dirt flying everywhere, knowing his magic vision is about to run out. His hands hit something hard. A solid surface. It's here. He quickly clears the rest of the dirt away. He pulls a small, ornate treasure chest out of the ground. It looks exactly like the reward chest from the game. Another warning flashes. 10 seconds until enhancement ends. He doesn't hesitate. He jams the scissors into the glowing mana threads binding the chest. With a final snip, the threads shatter just as the countdown ends and his vision returns to normal. The chest floats into the air, glowing with a golden light. Done! A prompt appears, asking if he wants to claim his reward. Of course he does. The chest dissolves into light and 2 notifications pop up. It confirms the item is rebound to him and stored in his inventory. He smiles. This proves it really was his old gear. But another message pops up. He can't check the item here. Before he can even wonder why, the system announces that story mode is starting. It's a memory, and it cannot be skipped. Lion panics. Story mode? What's going on? Suddenly, the scene shifts. We're outside the labyrinth, where the Patriarch and his men are waiting. The Patriarch asks his son, Lixel, for a status report on the damage control. Lixel confirms they've managed the situation. They're telling everyone it was just an earthquake, and they've secured promises from the princes and other nobles to keep quiet. The Patriarch is relieved. He thinks to himself that the first prince's incompetence actually helped them this time, but he's still worried about 2 other groups. He asks what's being done about the temple and the underworld. Lixel assures the Patriarch they've already moved to block information, so Lion's location is secure. The Patriarch's worry is well-founded. The temple is led by an archbishop who is obsessed with anything related to the legendary hero, and the underworld is a massive organization founded by the hero's own comrades. Unlike the nobles, these 2 factions have the resources to dig deep and find out what's really happening. They could discover Lion's secret. He's convinced Lion has a deep connection to the hero. He has his reasons. First, there was the hero's potion Lion somehow acquired, and second, all of this chaos began the moment Lion stepped into the hero's labyrinth. Patriarch believes there's a secret about Lion that even he doesn't know yet. Just then, another tremor rages, throwing everyone off balance. The Patriarch shouts for everyone to prepare for the fallout. Lixel senses a massive surge of power coming from inside. Something is about to break through the doors. A blinding flash of purple energy erupts from the entrance. An object shoots out from the blast, flying straight at the Patriarch and smacking him right in the face. Everyone freezes. The Patriarch is stunned, with a red mark on his forehead, while Lixel stares in disbelief. Lixel picks up the object that hit his father. It's a simple folded note. He immediately recognizes his brother Lion's handwriting, though it seems to have been written in a hurry. The Patriarch asks if there are any bloodstains, but Lixel assures him the note is clean. Impatient, the old man demands to know what it says. Lixel looks a little nervous, but before he can read it, the scene cuts away. Suddenly, we're back with Lion. A system window confirms he's entered story mode. His vision goes dark as he's pulled into a forced memory. He finds himself in a strange, dark space, his head pounding. The system announces it's preparing a video titled XXX Memory. The video begins to play. It's a black and white scene of 2 figures in a forest. Lion is just a spectator here, watching the memory unfold. One of the figures, the legendary hero, hands a small chest to another man, calling him Patrick. The hero says he no longer needs the item and asks Patrick to take care of it. Lion is completely stunned. Patrick is his grandfather's name. He's witnessing the moment the hero entrusted the treasure to his family. He freaks out. The audio is spotty, and the viewing angle is terrible. He can't even tell who the hero is because he just hit random during character creation. All he can see clearly is his grandfather promising to keep the chest safe. Just as quickly as it started, the system announces it's exiting story mode. Lion snaps back to reality, finding himself sitting in the middle of the now-destroyed library. He's confused that the important-seeming memory just ended like that. He grumbles that he barely got any useful information from the whole thing. Still, he has the main prize right in his hands. He now knows the chest was entrusted to his grandfather during the Demon War, to be kept safe until it was needed again. He opens the chest, and a system window identifies the contents. It's the hero's treasure, an unmeasurable grade accessory set that completely conceals the user's information. Lion actually remembers this item from the game. It wasn't that rare, and most players just used it for the bonus EXP it gave. He slips on the bracelet, figuring one of his old characters must have given it to Patrick. Regardless of its origins, it's a lifesaver now. It's the perfect tool to hide his newly awakened mana. With his presence now concealed, he feels safe enough to check on his new power. A prompt asks if he wants to see the details of his mana circle. He accepts. The system shows him his circle, but warns that his residual mana is extremely low. Lion is confused. A one-circle mage shouldn't be able to store this much mana. He knows how hard other mages have to train just to expand their mana capacity. They meditate day and night just for a chance to reach the second or third circle. But his one circle is already massive, far beyond what should be possible. He has no idea why his power is so different, and it's starting to worry him. But he quickly decides a good thing is a good thing. At least his new accessory will keep it a secret. He gets to his feet, feeling like he's hit the jackpot. An event item from the game is a treasure-grade artifact in this world. He's feeling pretty good about himself, until he remembers one major problem. He's still trapped inside the crumbling, trashed-out labyrinth. He decides to find a way out and approaches a large book that seems to be the library's main console. But the moment he touches it, a series of red warnings pop up. Access is denied without the library master's permission. Then, a new notification appears. The current master of the library is Lion Astri. Lion is shocked. He's the master now. He figures it must be a reward for clearing the labyrinth, but this was not part of the plan. To make things worse, the system informs him the entrance is broken and auto-repairing. Then it asks if he wants to go back to the final area. The whole place is a disaster, inside and out. Lion can already picture his grandfather's rage. He imagines the old man screaming at him for causing so much trouble. He has to fix this. Then it hits him. If he's the master, he should have the power to repair the labyrinth himself. The system offers to reset the labyrinth, but that would mean losing all his new items and the library's books. That's a definite no. He asks for other options. The system then offers a manual restoration. It'll take time, but he can control the process. Lion thinks of it like editing a save file. He decides to revert the library to its state from a week ago, making sure to exclude his own new artifacts from the rollback. He asks how long the process will take. The system gives him a number that makes his jaw drop. It will take 672 hours, a whole month, and he's trapped inside until it's done. He asks if he can at least move around freely. The system confirms that as the master, he has full access to the entire library. Finally, he asks how he can contact the outside world. The system reveals an old book drop-off chute he can use to send messages. With a plan in place, he decides to send a note to his family to tell them he's okay. Then he tells the system to start the repairs. A brilliant green light fills the library as the restoration process begins. Books, shelves, and furniture all start to phase back into place, and a countdown timer appears. He has a long wait ahead of him. With the restoration underway, Lion has the system teleport him back to the labyrinth's final area. He arrives back in the beautiful, serene field. The teleport is a neat trick, but now he has to figure out how to survive for a month. He looks around, trying to come up with a plan. That's when he notices a huge, sparkling lake he somehow missed before. He can't believe a place like this exists inside a labyrinth. He approaches the water's edge. It seems peaceful enough. The system gives him a ridiculously technical description of the wildlife, which basically just confuses him. He asks for a simpler version. The system clarifies that the lake is full of edible fish and crustaceans, ranging from normal to rare tier. Intrigued, he asks how many rare fish there are. The system replies there is only one in existence. Just then, a notification pops up. As the library master, he has unlocked the ability to fish in the lake. There's just one problem. He doesn't have a fishing rod, but that's an easy fix thanks to the shilling shop. A moment later, he's sitting by the water casting his line. The gear cost him a good chunk of his shillings, but it's better than his backup plan of eating the bait. He's already caught a few small fish, so at least he won't starve. He settles in, enjoying the peace and quiet. Suddenly, his bobber is yanked under the water with incredible force. This is no minnow. The pull on the line is intense, and he struggles to hold on. The rod is bending like crazy. This has to be a big one. He braces himself, fighting against the powerful creature on the other end. Slowly but surely, he starts to reel it in, sweat beading on his forehead. With one final heave, he pulls an enormous, shimmering purple carp from the water. He actually caught it. A system window flashes, congratulating him. He has successfully caught the labyrinth carp, the one and only rare fish in the entire lake. The system explains this thing is basically the perfect food. It restores health and stamina, has no small bones, and doesn't have that gross earthy taste. He's absolutely stunned by its size. The thrill of the fight was insane, and now he understands why people love fishing so much. His newfound passion doesn't go unrewarded. The system chimes in, announcing he's awakened a new talent, fishing. On top of that, his proficiency immediately jumps to apprentice level 1. With a prize this good, he's definitely having carp for dinner tonight. He figures the stamina boost is exactly what his frail body needs, so he decides to find a good spot to cook. He pulls out a full-on camping and cooking set from his inventory. Apparently, he'd packed all this for his little brother Lixel, but it looks like he'll be the one using it. While he's at it, he also pulls out his alchemy gear. As he's looking through his items, he spots something new. The system gave him a free gift, a magic flint that makes starting fires incredibly easy. He gives it a shot, and a perfect campfire roars to life. He looks around, satisfied. The crackling fire really adds to the atmosphere. Alright, time for the main event. He gets the carp ready for roasting. While he's cleaning the fish, a system window pops up for the innards. They're not for eating, but they're a perfect alchemy ingredient containing a bit of labyrinth mana. Another win. He heavily tosses the innards into his alchemy pot to cook down. The pot immediately starts bubbling and glowing on its own. Super convenient. With that taken care of, he gets to work on the rest of the meal, skewering the fish and some veggies. He's got a whole technique for it, explaining that you have to skewer the fish head down to let the oil drip off. This keeps the juices locked in, making the outside crispy and the inside tender. While the fish is roasting over the fire, he decides to get his sleeping arrangements sorted out. It's a bit of a hassle, but he's determined to get the full romantic camping experience. He sets up a hammock between two trees as the sun begins to set. It's a pretty sweet setup, and just in time too. Dinner's ready. He grabs a skewer and gets ready to dig in. The system identifies his creation as grilled labyrinth carp, but it comes with a catch. A warning label says it can't be taken out of the labyrinth. He just shrugs. Guess he'll have to enjoy these delicacies while he can. He takes a huge bite, and his eyes go wide. The flavor is out of this world. The skin is perfectly crispy, the meat is incredibly tender, and the rich, savory aroma is enough to bring a tear to his eye. It's so delicious he's already craving a bowl of rice and some kimchi to go with it. Unlike normal carp, this one has no earthy taste and no annoying bones. It's so good he wishes he could share it with someone. But then, he gets a notification that changes everything. By eating the carp, his maximum mana has increased by a microscopic amount. What? He immediately checks his status, and a glowing diagram of his mana circle appears. It actually got bigger. He can't believe it. He can increase his mana just by eating food. He knows if any other mages found out about this place, they would fish this lake completely dry. His first thought is of his brother Lixel. He wonders if it will work on him too, and vows to feed him some of this later. With dinner done, he goes to check on his alchemy pot. Inside, the innards have condensed into a huge, glowing pearl. It's the essence of the labyrinth carp. The system explains that eating the pearl will permanently increase his mana recovery rate. It's an expert tier item, a rank he's never even seen before. The effects must be incredible. With a greedy smile, he decides to store the pearl for now. He's been too busy to focus on alchemy, but now he has an entire month to experiment. He's already gathered tons of herbs, and this labyrinth is overflowing with high-quality, mana-rich ingredients. Best of all, there's nobody around to bother him. He realizes this place isn't a prison. It's his own private, all-you-can-eat, power-leveling hunting ground. A wicked grin spreads across his face. There is way more to exploit here than he ever dreamed, but before all that, he's going to finish his fish. And so, his month of survival begins. He quickly falls into a routine, becoming a true master of the labyrinth. He catches huge, lobster-sized labyrinth crawfish and stores them in his inventory, already planning new recipes. He spends his days tending to the crops he's planted and foraging for new ingredients in the forest, like the healthy-looking banana sweet potatoes. He finds all sorts of useful plants, like labyrinth spicy berries and labyrinth novice mushrooms, which also give a tiny boost to his mana. He even finds some pretty labyrinth crown daisy flowers. He picks a few, thinking they'd look nice planted around his camp. But as he looks at the item description, his eyes lock onto one detail. Sale price, 300 shillings. He's in total shock. These flowers can be sold for money? He's been living in a gold mine this whole time and had no idea. He immediately tries to sell them, but the system throws him a curveball. The offer is only 250 shillings, and that's before a sales fee. Our boy is not having it. He knows he's being lowballed. The system explains its reasoning. It's a low-grade landscaping flower, and his sales comprehension is 0%. Basically, the system sees him as an amateur who doesn't know what he's doing. He smirks, so that's how they want to play. He realizes he can't just sell things, he has to haggle for a fair price. He straightens up and starts his counteroffer. He's got a bit of hidden knowledge up his sleeve. He explains that these flowers aren't just for decoration. When dried and brewed as tea, they have medicinal properties, making them a legitimate alchemy ingredient. Plus, they're super easy to use, so their convenience and accessibility should make them worth even more. He pauses, letting the system process the new information. The system concedes he has a valid point. A moment later, a new price pops up. But it only went up to 280, and they're still taking a fee. He calls the system out for being stingy. The system claims the fee is non-negotiable company policy. But just as he's about to argue, another window appears. The shilling shop always listens to customer feedback. It makes him a new proposal. The fee is waived, and the price is back to the full 300 shillings. Now that's what he's talking about. He's figured it out. Knowledge is literally money here. The more he knows about an item, the more he can sell it for. With a greedy grin, he accepts the deal. The flowers in his hand digitize and disappear. and in their place, a pouch containing 300 shillings materializes. An instant, satisfying payout. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities. He asks if he can sell processed goods too. The system confirms he can, but there are rules. Everything has to be in perfect condition. No opened, counterfeit, or defective items. So if he wants to sell his creations, he'll have to make them properly and keep them pristine. Got it. It's been a very productive day. First, he found a way to earn money, and now it's time for another feast. He gets to work on his next masterpiece, laying out the giant labyrinth crawfish and some other ingredients he's foraged. Among them is a labyrinth pungent seed. The description says it has a strong, spicy aroma. It's basically a fantasy peppercorn. Time to cook. He starts by making a rich, flavorful broth, tossing in the pungent seeds and the crawfish heads and legs. Next, he whips up some fresh dough from scratch. He kneads it, slams it on the board to get that perfect chewy texture, and lets it rest. With the broth simmering, he adds some mushrooms and the main crawfish body. The aroma is already incredible. The soup is bubbling away, just waiting for the final touches. He tears the rested dough into rustic, bite-sized pieces, a dish known as sujebi. Finally, he tops it off with the very same crown daisies he just learned were so valuable. The dish is complete. The system identifies it as a 2-star labyrinth seafood sujebi, calling it a masterpiece and praising his skill. He starts with the broth, and his eyes go wide. It's absolutely divine. The rich seafood flavor is perfectly balanced, and he can't get enough. The sujebi is just as good. The dough has a wonderful texture, and the mushrooms and daisies add a satisfying crunch. It's a symphony of flavors. Now for the star of the show, the crawfish meat. He takes one bite and ascends to a higher plane of existence. The cherubs are out, the trumpets are blaring. It has the chewy texture of lobster, but the meat is as sweet and rich as blue crab. It's an unbelievable combination. He now gets why the broth was so good. The crawfish was the secret weapon all along. He happily demolishes the entire meal. A bite of crawfish, a bite of sujebi, a sip of broth. It's the perfect loop. In what feels like minutes, the entire pot is empty. The food coma hits him like a truck. He collapses into his chair, completely satisfied and ready for a nap. He enjoys a peaceful moment in the sun, but his rest is short-lived. He snaps awake. He can't get lazy now. He still needs to gather wood for the fire before it gets dark. He wanders into the forest, looking for suitable trees. He finds a good spot, and the system identifies the trees as specklewood. Not only is it good for firewood, but it can be processed into planks and sold for a profit. His new entrepreneurial spirit kicks in. He decides to buy a proper set of tools with the shillings he just earned. He summons a brand new, shiny, basic carpenter's woodworking set straight from the system shop. The system even gives him a helpful tip for felling trees. With his new axe in hand, he winds up for a mighty swing. He lands several clean, powerful hits right on the mark. And with a final crack, the tree comes crashing down. He checks his inventory and finds he's gathered a ton of timber in various sizes. This place is just full of resources. But as he's about to get back to work, he spots something through the trees. It looks like a building. He pushes through the foliage and finds a rustic wooden cabin, standing all alone in the middle of the labyrinth. He cautiously approaches, barefoot, and peeks inside. It's Spartan, to say the least. The only piece of furniture is a single bed. Just then, a system notification pops up. By the authority of the labyrinth's master, the cabin is now his to use. He's ecstatic. A real cabin is a massive upgrade from sleeping in a hammock. But then, he has an even crazier thought. He asks the system if it's possible to move the cabin to his base camp. The system simply replies, "It is possible. This is a total game changer." He sprints back to his camp, ready to set up his new home. He needs a nice flat area for his new house. With a bit of hard work, he clears a perfect plot of land. He plants his feet and declares this is the spot. The system warns him the installation process will take some time and generate a lot of noise. He's not worried. He figures it'll just be summoned with a flash of light, easy peasy. He could not have been more wrong. A huge tremor shakes the ground, and he looks up in horror. The entire cabin has been ripped from its foundations and is currently flying through the air like a wooden missile, aimed directly at him. He can only scream as his brand new home comes in for a very, very loud landing. Somehow, he survives. A final, cheerful notification announces that the cabin installation is complete. Picking himself up from the dirt, he can't believe the system's idea of an installation was just yeeting the entire cabin at him. He's a little shaken, but hey, a home is a home, and after just a week in this place, he finally has his own. It's a pretty sweet setup, right by the water with a field of flowers. He unpacks his stuff and takes stock of his new digs. He's even got a good supply of firewood ready to go. Since it's still broad daylight, he decides to get some work done. It's time to start making some daily necessities. He grabs a plank of that specklewood he chopped down earlier. With his new carpentry tools, he gets to work, wondering if this will turn out okay. His first attempt results in a pair of ugly chopsticks that are better off as kindling, and an ugly wooden bowl that's, well, really ugly. The system really doesn't have to rub it in. But you can't expect perfection on the first try. He's ready to keep practicing. He spends the rest of the day honing his new craft, and just like that, he gets a new talent notification. His woodworking proficiency has reached apprentice level 1, and the results are a massive improvement. He looks at his new set of bowls, plates, and cups. They're not perfect, but they're definitely good enough to use. Now that he's got the hang of it, he remembers that items of 1 star or higher can be sold. He figures the shilling shop will buy anything as long as it's aesthetically pleasing. That gives him an idea. A few fine-tuned adjustments later, and he's crafted a 1-star labyrinth wooden flower pot. The starting price is 1,000 shillings. His inner capitalist awakens. Time to see what the system will offer. He registers the item with the shilling shop. And here we go again. The first offer is only 800 shillings, not including the fee. He tries to sweet-talk the system, pointing out how neat and pretty it is. But that just makes it worse. The system notes that while it's well made, it has no special value, and drops the price to 650. He's not having it. He launches into his sales pitch, explaining that this isn't just ordinary wood. It's made of labyrinth wood, which is super rare. Not only that, but it's completely waterproof and incredibly durable. He goes full home shopping network mode, hyping it up as the best product ever that will sell out in no time. His pitch seems to be working. The system is recalculating the price, and boom, the new offer is 1,500 shillings. Now that's a win. He happily accepts the deal. The flower pot disappears, and 1,500 shillings are added to his account. He asks if he can just keep spamming these flower pots for infinite money, but the system shuts that down. If supply exceeds demand, the price will drop, so it's more profitable to sell a variety of items. This actually works out perfectly. He can level up his skills while making money on the side. 3 weeks fly by. Our boy has been grinding his life skills. He's been fishing a lot, and he just reeled in a 2-star labyrinth snow white trout. This isn't his first rare catch either. He clears the path of the Fisher Doctor achievement for catching 10 rare fish, earning him 3,000 shillings and leveling his fishing proficiency to apprentice level 3. His fishing rod is just about to break, but he managed to snag the fish with only 5% durability left. With all his preparations complete, he heads back to the cabin. He's been working towards a very specific goal. To get his main talent from the apprentice stage to skilled, there's a prerequisite. Excluding the talent he wants to upgrade, at least 5 other talents have to be over apprentice level 3. His potion crafting is already at level 9, and with fishing and woodworking hitting level 3, he's finally unlocked the requirement. Grinding life skills is a pain, but it's finally paying off. As he starts to prepare the trout, something unexpected pops out. It's a labyrinth trout fisheye. It's not a mana stone, but it has high magic conductivity and can be used in alchemy. And get this, its selling price is a whopping 10,000 shillings. The greed goblin is back. He wants to sell it immediately, but the recipe for it is locked. He needs to reach skill level 1 to view it, the same requirement as the fish essence he got earlier. He has a feeling this is an item he's going to need, so he decides to hang on to it for now. Besides, he'll be able to see that recipe very soon. It's finally time. He successfully obtains the labyrinth trout essence, and with that, the system announces that his potion crafting specialization has broken through its limit. Thanks to his brilliant talent and hard work, he's achieved immense growth in a short time. His potion crafting specialization evolves into the alchemy specialization, and his alchemy level hits skilled level 1. A flood of new recipes are unlocked. So many new recipes appear before him, flowing directly into his head. This is way different from his previous level ups, and it's not just potions anymore. He's seeing recipes for things like a curse-reflecting doll. Finally, the transmission ends. He realizes what just happened. At the apprentice level, his knowledge was limited to just potions. But now that he's at the skilled level, he has an understanding of alchemy as a whole. Alright, time to check out that fish essence recipe he's been waiting for. Turns out, he can just eat it. It's a pill he has to swallow whole, though it warns that the fishy smell is extremely strong. He wonders if there's another recipe that uses it as an ingredient. And there is. It requires 5 special fish essences and 2 fish eyes. If only 1 fish eye is used, it has a high chance of crafting failure. He's so glad he didn't sell that fish eye. But hold on, it needs 2 of them, and 5 essences? He only has 1 fish eye and 9 regular fish essences. This means he only has 1 shot at this. He tosses in 5 of his fish essences and the 1 precious fish eye. He's a little nervous being short on materials, but the adrenaline is pumping. This is why he loves alchemy. Fishing and woodworking are great, but nothing beats the dopamine rush of getting a special result from a high-stakes craft. He laughs like a mad scientist. Only amateurs worry about failure. The lower the success rate, the greater the thrill. Whoa, okay, something's not right. The whole cauldron is starting to shake. No, no, no. The blessing of the fire spirit kicks in, granting him heat resistance. If the lid pops open now, it's a failure. He only has 1 shot at this. The rattling stops. A gentle steam hisses from the pot. It worked. He lifts the lid to reveal the final product, a 2-star alchemist's fish pill. It permanently increases a certain amount of mana, and it sells for 15,000 shillings. He's a little disappointed with the grade considering all the fuss, but then again, the materials were low grade, so he should just be glad it didn't fail. But wait, the usage is fishing? The description says a specific fish is likely to love this. A specific fish, don't tell me. It's not a potion to be consumed by him. It's fish bait. This is why he couldn't catch anything better than a 2-star fish. It wasn't his skill or his old rod, he just needed the right lure. His inner capitalist immediately starts calculating the profits. With this bait, he could catch a fish worth at least 20,000 shillings. But his alchemist brain sees the bigger picture. This isn't a one-time score. It's a gameplay loop. He can use this bait to catch a rare fish, then use that fish to craft even better bait to catch a unique fish, and so on, all the way up to legendary. It's a tempting cycle of infinite upgrades. Still, he decides to hold off. He doesn't desperately need the money, and the mana boost from eating it himself would be a waste. His main goal right now isn't grinding levels. He's about to leave the labyrinth for good. This is his last chance to really enjoy this peaceful spot. So, he decides to go all out for one final fishing session. It's not about the money or the levels. It's about the pure, simple relaxation of it all. With his one-of-a-kind bait, he casts his line, ready for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, back at the Asturia estate, things are a lot less relaxed. The family head is being reminded by his headmaid, Sylvia, that Lion's 1-month deadline is up in just 2 days, and he is stressing out. Hard. Sylvia muses that he's handling the stress better than he used to, but just barely. She recalls a time when the crown prince dared to propose to his daughter. He completely lost it, summoning his weapon and vowing to murder the prince on the spot. He's come a long way since then. She compliments his newfound maturity and suggests a distraction. Instead of worrying, they should prepare a grand welcome for Lion's return. The old man is intrigued. Her suggestion? Book an entire luxury hotel for him. Apparently, the Hotel Esther just got a fancy remodel. The family head thinks this is a perfectly reasonable and not at all excessive idea. He's in. Sylvia heads off to make the arrangements. He then stops her, calling her sisters and asking if she's worried about the labyrinth collapsing. She reassures him that it's fine. He seems to take her word for it. She admits that the labyrinth's collapse has cut off her only path to freedom, but honestly, she says she's been having too much fun with the family to really care. The family head gets flustered, realizing he basically just asked if she's upset that her one chance at freedom is gone forever. Trying to move on, he thinks about his grandson. He knows Lion has a talent for causing chaos. He's got a gut feeling that his grandson has been raising some serious hell inside that labyrinth for the past month. He even has a hunch that Lion might be returning with a very specific and very important item. Back at the lake, Lion is enjoying the sunset, patiently waiting with his old rod and single piece of bait. He chuckles to himself. Any pro would laugh at his setup, but he knows that's the beauty of fishing. It's all about the thrill of that one big catch after a long wait. Still, hours have passed without so much as a nibble. This is getting a little ridiculous. The water is unnaturally still. It's like a dead lake. He wonders if a massive predator has scared all the other fish away, and just as he thinks that, his bobber disappears. It's a bite. A huge one. He can feel the raw power on the other end of the line. This has to be a 3-star rare grade fish at least. The struggle is immense. He's putting every ounce of his strength into this fight. Then a colossal tailfin erupts from the water. The sheer size is unbelievable. If the tail is that big, the body must be monstrous. The fish is so strong, it's starting to drag him into the lake. He knows if the line snaps, it's over. This is his only shot. He waits for the perfect moment, and then he puts everything he has into one final pull. He rips the creature clean out of the water. The force sends him flying backwards. His trusty fishing rod, having served its purpose, completely runs out of durability. It shatters into pieces, but he couldn't care less. He's done it. A notification confirms his legendary catch, a 3-star labyrinth 5-colored sturgeon. The system explains this is a one-of-a-kind fish. Instead of roe, its eyes are like valuable topaz gems. He can barely hold the thing. He's in absolute awe of its size. For a second, all he can think about is how badly he wants a photo to prove this happened. This is a once-in-a-lifetime catch. But he quickly snaps himself out of it. There's no time for that. He hauls the massive fish back to his cabin for processing. With manic glee, he expertly carves it up, extracting the 3-star essence. And then, the main prize. The reason this fish is so special, he triumphantly holds up the labyrinth sturgeon's fisheye. Wasting no time, he gets straight to alchemy, tossing the 3-star ingredient into his cauldron. The reaction is immediate and violent, far more powerful than anything he's done before. His blessing of the fire spirit activates, protecting him from the intense heat as he struggles to keep the lid on. He poured everything into catching this fish, and he refuses to let the alchemy fail now. The process is a grueling, all-night affair. By the time the sun rises, he's completely exhausted. His arms ache, and he collapses onto the cauldron, having pulled an all-nighter just to keep it from exploding. But the reaction has finally subsided. It's time to see the result. He cautiously lifts the lid. Inside is a single, magnificent 3-star alchemist's 5-color fish bill. The description is incredible. It's a masterpiece far beyond a skilled alchemist's level that will permanently increase a significant amount of mana. It even has a side effect of letting him breathe underwater. And the sale price? A mind-boggling 50,000 shillings. Just crafting this item is enough to level his alchemy skill to skill level 2 and complete a hidden objective. He did it. The gamble paid off in the biggest way possible. A permanent, significant mana increase is way too good to sell, even for 50,000 shillings. Without a moment's hesitation, he eats the entire thing. An incredible surge of pure energy courses through his body. It's almost overwhelming. He has to focus all his will to channel the immense power into his mana circle. The sheer volume of mana floods his system. It completely fills his mana circle to the brim. And then, it keeps going. He doesn't just fill the circle. He masters it, instantly acquiring 3 basic spells. The pill contained so much energy that after completely mastering his first circle, his body has to expel the unrefined excess. He's in disbelief. In a single moment, he went from having 0 practical magic to mastering the first mana circle. This is insane. And the good news keeps coming. A system notification announces that the labyrinth's restoration is complete. He's finally free to go outside. As a bonus, the area he modified, his little cabin retreat, will be preserved for him. It's finally time to go home. He packs his bag, grabbing a few flowers on his way out. He takes one last look at the cabin he built, thankful that his hard work will be waiting for him when he returns. But just as he's about to go, one final notification pops up. During the restoration, the system found an unregistered item that requires his confirmation as the owner. He summons the item. He expects another hero's treasure, but what appears is a scroll. He unrolls it and sees that it's a contract, so he starts to read the fine print. The contract is full of shockingly unfair clauses, all directed at a witch. She's forbidden from using high-level magic. She's also forced to magically alter her age to match that of the person she serves, and she's bound to faithfully serve House Astari as a servant. He's appalled. There are even penalties for breaking any of the rules. This is a straight-up slave contract, a total violation of labor laws. He sees the name on the contract and realizes it belongs to Sylvia, the head maid. He can't imagine why anyone, especially a powerful witch, would agree to such a horribly unfair deal. But then he reads the final clause. In exchange for everything she's giving up, the contract grants her one thing, the right to live as a human in House Astari. He's stunned. She signed away her freedom and her power, all for the chance to be treated as a human. After processing this shocking new information, he decides it's time to head home. Living in the labyrinth wasn't so bad, but there's no place like home. He steps onto the magic circle, and with a flash of golden light, he teleports back to the Astari estate. Back at the mansion, the entire household is anxiously waiting by the labyrinth's entrance. The family head asks Rixon, the knight commander, if everything is ready. Rixon confirms that the elite squad of Astari knights, a force stronger than even the Imperial Guards, is on standby to retrieve Lion if he doesn't return by the deadline. The Patriarch then turns to another man, Hoffman. He orders Hoffman to be ready to transport and treat Lion in case of an emergency. Watching this unfold, Sylvia knows they're pulling out all the stops. Hoffman is not only Lion's personal physician, but also a master of healing magic affiliated with the family's magic tower. Adding to their powerhouse lineup is Rixon, the knight commander who is on the verge of becoming a swordmaster. They are prepared for literally anything. Sylvia can only hope that none of these drastic measures will be necessary. Suddenly, the grand doors to the labyrinth begin to glow. With a massive rumble, the door cracks open, startling the waiting party. An intense light floods the room, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. And there he is. Our boy steps out with a casual greeting, happy to finally be out. Seeing the whole welcoming committee, he's a bit confused. Before he can even question why everyone is gathered, his grandfather rushes forward and pulls him into a massive hug. Completely taken by surprise, our guy can only stammer out his grandfather's name. Confused by the overwhelming reaction, he wonders if he came out later than scheduled. Sylvia kindly informs him that he's right on time. It seems his grandfather was just incredibly worried about him. Realizing he's been caught being a caring grandpa, the old man quickly tries to play it cool. He flusters, denying he was worried and insisting he was just checking Lion's physical condition. To sell the act, he immediately orders Hoffman to hurry up and examine Lion. His younger brother Rixel sees right through it, telling Lion that the Patriarch was indeed very worried. Rixel then expresses his own concern, noting that Lion's face looks thinner and asking if he suffered in the labyrinth. Internally, Lion finds this hilarious, since he actually pigged out and gained 5 kilograms during his peaceful retreat. After thanking his brother for worrying, he gets a bright idea. He casually asks if they'd like to visit the labyrinth, since he had such a great time there. The suggestion is met with immediate and absolute horror. Rixel interrupts, suggesting that instead of planning a trip to a death trap, they should probably get a thorough checkup on Lion's condition. With the family in agreement, Hoffman is called over to perform the examination. Lion sits down, but he's not exactly thrilled about this. He remembers Hoffman as the family dentist, not because he works on teeth, but because the treatments for mana shock were agonizingly painful. Most of his childhood memories of the physician involve him desperately trying to run away. Hoffman, oblivious to Lion's past trauma, simply asks for his hand to begin. To everyone's surprise, Lion calmly offers his hand. Hoffman is stunned by this new, cooperative attitude, wondering if our boy has finally matured. As the examination begins, a warm green light emanates from Hoffman's hands. But a moment later, his face contorts in confusion, and the patriarch immediately jumps to the worst conclusion. Hoffman checks again, still looking completely baffled by what he's sensing. He stumbles back in disbelief. Both Rixel and the patriarch look on, horrified, thinking the worst has happened. But the doctor's diagnosis is the last thing they expected. Lion isn't just healthy, he's too healthy. Rixel can't believe it and asks if he's being tricked again. Hoffman, practically giddy, confirms that the twisted mana circuits are gone and Lion is in perfect health. Our boy just smiles, amused that his brother worries just as much as his grandfather. The patriarch lets out a sigh of relief. As long as his grandson is okay, that's all that matters. He dismisses Hoffman and Rixon, their services no longer needed. He then motions for Lion to follow him. As they leave, Hoffman is still marveling at how much Lion has changed. The three of them head to a more private location to talk. The patriarch gets a serious look on his face, telling Lion it's time for a serious talk. At his request, Rixel casts a soundproofing spell around the room. Now that they're alone, the patriarch gets right to it, demanding to know everything that happened in the labyrinth. Lion knew his grandfather would see right through him, so he decides to just start explaining. He tells them the unbelievable story of how he became the master of the labyrinth. Rixel is completely floored by the news, gushing about how amazing his brother is. Lion just laughs it off, admitting he doesn't really remember how it happened. His grandfather, ever practical, wants proof that he's telling the truth. As proof, Lion offers up the legendary treasure he found. Both of them are stunned speechless. The patriarch confirms that it's the genuine article he had enshrined. He then correctly deduces that the locket Lion is wearing is the matching pair. Lion confirms it, leaving his grandfather to grapple with the fact that his grandson is somehow connected to the legendary hero. For now, he advises Lion to keep the treasure safe. He reveals he was told that someday, someone who desperately needed the item would appear. Lion agrees, remembering the game's story and how this changes a major event. The patriarch then tasks Rixel with damage control. Rixel agrees to create an alibi for Lion's absence and ensure no information gets out. But before he can leave, Lion speaks up. There's one more thing he found. He places the scroll on the table, explaining it's a contract from the time of the previous patriarch. He then tells his grandfather his suspicion that the witch in the contract is none other than Sylvia, and now she is Elvia. The old man is shocked, realizing Lion has known this whole time. Lion chuckles, admitting he even thought Patriarch had a new crush when he started requesting high-grade potions, but the contract cleared things up. He then gets back to business, asking Lion why he's bringing this up now. Looking him straight in the eye, Lion makes his intentions clear. He wants to change the contents of Sylvia's contract. The Patriarch immediately demands a reason for this bold request. Lion explains that since he's now the master of the labyrinth, the contract has become his property as well. He then clarifies that he's not making an emotional appeal to his grandfather, but a formal one to the Patriarch, a man who isn't swayed by sentiment. Lion knows exactly why his grandfather is so cautious. To the head of the house, Sylvia isn't just a maid, she's a half-demon witch, a terrifying monster capable of leveling an entire village with a single breath. She represents a potential threat to not only the Astari family, but to the entire empire. Lion explains that this is probably why the Patriarch couldn't help Sylvia himself, even if he wanted to. With that justification laid out, our boy formally requests to take over all rights and responsibilities of the contract. His grandfather is clearly impressed by his grandson's clever political maneuvering, but he's not going to make it that easy. The old man points out that the contract strictly belongs to Sylvia and the previous Patriarch, not him. But our guy has a trump card. He reminds his grandfather about the unbreakable custom of House Astari. Any item obtained during the coming-of-age ceremony belongs to that person forever. And since he acquired the contract during his own ceremony, it's now legally his. Checkmate. Beaten at his own game, the Patriarch can't help but crack a smile. He agrees that since the contract is Lion's property, he can do with it as he pleases. However, he gives a final, stern warning. Lion must be confident he can take full responsibility for any emergency that might arise. Without a hint of hesitation, our boy accepts the terms. The Patriarch tells him to report back after he's spoken with Sylvia, but Lion gets an uncomfortable feeling that the old man is hiding something. He decides to let it go for now and promises to take it easy for a while to make up for all the worrying he's caused. With a final, dismissive wave, the Patriarch sends him on his way. Left alone, the old man reflects on the impossible chain of events that has just unfolded. First the hero's potion, then the legendary hero's treasure. And somehow, against all odds, that treasure chose Lion. The fact that Lion also found Sylvia in the labyrinth can't be a coincidence. The patriarch knows this is just the beginning. A new, dangerous destiny is starting for his grandson, and he's certain a lot of pests will be swarming around him from now on. 1 week later, our boy is back to living the good life. He's thoroughly enjoying his new lazy boy lifestyle, doing absolutely nothing but eating the delicious meals served to him. Thanks to Rixel's quick work creating an alibi, nobody has come looking for him despite his long absence. It's the peaceful, stress-free life he's always dreamed of. His blissful retirement is suddenly interrupted by a single, nagging problem: the contract. He needs to talk to Elvia to get this sorted out. He tries calling for her, but for some reason she doesn't appear. It's a strange departure from her usual immediate response. Later that evening, Elvia finally shows up to congratulate him on his return. But every time he tries to bring up the contract, she masterfully dodges the conversation by bringing up other tasks, like arranging his medical checkup or preparing food, before making a swift exit. Lion is left completely stumped as she vanishes into the shadows. He can't figure it out. Since that day, she's been actively avoiding him. He knows she's aware he plans to revise the contract in her favor, so her behavior makes absolutely no sense. After racking his brain, he just gives up. Whatever her reasons are, he decides on a new course of action. If she won't come to him, he'll just have to create a situation where she has no choice but to appear. And that means paying a visit to the magic tower. Stepping in front of the massive structure, Lion can't help but be impressed. The place is ridiculously huge. He gawks at the endless floors and the complex security magic that seems to be woven into every single brick. It really is the dream workplace for any mage. He peeks inside and is immediately greeted by a scene of utter chaos. The sight of mages running around like headless chickens gives him a sudden flash of corporate PTSD. He realizes that at the end of the day, mages are just glorified office workers. The best course of action is to finish his business and get out as fast as possible. He came prepared with a bag full of bribes and a simple 2-part plan. First, he needs to make it clear that Rixel is still the official heir of House Asteri. Second, he has to prove to everyone that he's no longer sick, and he knows from experience that the best way to get people on your side is to grease a few palms. His first target immediately presents himself, a junior mage running by in a panic. Lion stops the poor kid, who nearly jumps out of his skin, and asks for Lord Hoffman's location. The young mage is so flustered he can barely get a word out, so Lion offers him a fatigue-relieving potion to calm him down. The junior accepts the gift, but as Lion turns to leave, a few things start clicking in the young mage's head. He suddenly notices the visitor's distinct purple eyes, the undeniable symbol of House Asteri. And then he remembers that Lord Hoffman is the personal physician for Lord Lion Asteri. Putting 2 and 2 together, he nervously asks if he's speaking to the man himself. The moment the name is confirmed, the entire magic tower erupts into absolute pandemonium. Mages come flooding out from every floor, completely losing their minds. The news spreads like wildfire that the infamous Lord Lion Asteri has arrived, and he's no longer a sickly recluse. Lion immediately realizes he's in trouble. He'd forgotten what the normal, over-the-top reaction to seeing an Asteri was like. But since he's already caused a scene and has everyone's attention, he decides to just roll with it. He opens his case, revealing a massive stash of high-grade potions. With a winning, albeit strained, smile, he starts handing them out to the shocked mages, telling them to have a drink and get back to work. After successfully bribing the entire magic tower, our boy slumps into a chair, completely drained. The junior mage who started it all is deeply apologetic for accidentally blowing Lion's cover, bowing so low his head is about to hit the floor. Lion reassures the kid that it was bound to happen eventually and that everything actually worked out pretty well. Seeing an opportunity, our guy asks the still panicked mage for a personal tour of the tower as an apology. With his case of potions now completely empty, Lion gets his wish. The junior mage, now acting as his personal guide, has the other mages carry Lion's bag as they head for the top floor to meet with Lord Hoffman. Their ride is a magnificent, all-glass elevator, and Lion is immediately freaking out. He is not a fan of heights, and the view straight down is making him dizzy. His guide just laughs it off, saying he's still not used to it either. Apparently, the glass is meant to simulate the feeling of flying, but Lion thinks it's just a sick sense of humor. The elevator then rockets upwards, getting them to the top floor in seconds. As they approach Hoffman's office, the junior mage gets visibly nervous. Lion can only imagine how strict Hoffman must be with his subordinates, especially considering how ruthless the man was with him when he was just a kid. After arriving, his guide announces him and quickly makes his escape. Taking a breath, Lion heads in. The sight that greets him is absolutely mind-boggling. Hoffman's office looks less like an office and more like a state-of-the-art futuristic laboratory, complete with an immeasurable tier magical healing apparatus. This place is better equipped than any university hospital he's ever seen. Hoffman welcomes him, but the familiar setting gives Lion a sudden flashback to his childhood trauma of getting shots. Shaking it off, he explains that while he's feeling fine, he came for a proper checkup just in case. Hoffman is clearly proud of how much Lion has matured since the days he used to just cry. With that, the examination begins. Our boy gets hooked up to all sorts of magical devices, and soon he's finished. Hoffman tells him the results will take about an hour, so Lion asks if he can look around while he waits. Given the all clear, our guy wanders off, feeling a bit like a kid on a field trip. He finds his way to what looks like a healing magic ward, filled with shelves of various potions. He stops at the entrance of a research section, looking in with curiosity. Inside, he sees a huge board covered in complex formulas. Hoffman, while checking his result, explains this is where they work on restoring lost potions, encouraging Lion to take a look since he heard our boy has an interest in potion crafting. Lion thanks him and picks up a research document from a nearby table. The title shocks him to his core, Hero's Potion Project Proposal Restoration. As he holds the document, his system ability automatically scans the nearby potions. The results are a disaster. The so-called Hero's Potion is a counterfeit, designed to lose 99% of its effectiveness after the very first dose. He realizes the tower might be planning to distribute this faulty product. Worried, he heads back to the Hoffman. The doctor delivers the good news. Lion is in absolutely perfect health. He finds it almost unbelievable, musing that something must have happened in the dungeon for such a drastic recovery. He even considers running more expensive tests, but quickly decides against it, after hearing a loud grumble from Lion's stomach. Instead, he suggests they discuss the details over a meal. Since Lion had to fast for the exam, with the press of a button, a delicious meal is served, and Hoffman boasts that the Magic Tower's food is exceptional. They sit down to eat, and Lion has to admit the food is genuinely incredible. Playing it cool, he casually asks if the potions he saw are ready for commercialization. Hoffman confirms that the Hero's Potion is in its final stages of completion, much to Lion's internal horror. The doctor then launches into a passionate speech about how this potion, a grand collaboration between the Magic Tower and top alchemists, will finally allow magic to surpass the healing capabilities of divine power. Lion knows this is a steaming pile of nonsense. The Magic Tower is about to commit massive fraud, but on the outside, he forces a smile and gives a big thumbs up, telling Hoffman how impressive it is. When asked about human trials, Hoffman proudly declares that every single patient experienced miraculous results. Yeah, Lion thinks, for that first dose they took. Then comes the final blow. Hoffman announces they plan to begin mass production in about a week. Lion's world comes crashing down. This isn't just a problem, it's a full-blown catastrophe. At this rate, the Magic Tower will become a den of con artists selling snake oil. The public will be furious. Worse, if that happens, his brother Lixel, the future master of the tower, will be branded the master of the fraud tower, completely destroying his future. The delicious food suddenly tastes like ash. He's in deep trouble. He can't step in himself without exposing his powers or undermining Lixel's authority. And with his grandfather away on business, he's completely on his own. But he can't just let this happen. Forcing another strained smile, he asks Hoffman if he can come back later to take another look at the research. Hoffman readily agrees, saying it's a great idea for him to study the potion in advance. He then clears his throat and offers Lion a warm drink, before getting a creepy, hopeful glint in his eye. He subtly tries to offer Lion a nepotism hire at the Magic Tower, seeing his newfound interest. Our boy is having absolutely none of that and quickly wraps up the meal. As he leaves, Lion's friendly demeanor vanishes. He has 1 week. 1 week to stop the commercialization of the counterfeit potion. Walking away with a newfound resolve, he promises to find a way to fix this mess, all while ensuring Lixel's position remains rock solid.